And now it's time for Who's Views with JT and the WHOTASTIC Panel.
Hello, everybody. Welcome back to Who's Views. Look at us all. No, it's not Sooty. Yes, you are welcome back to Who's Views. And here we all are to talk about season 25. As you can see, I'm joined by Phil. Phil's back. He's got a little bit of a carpet there. Look at a new look. Yeah. Something. Paul's here, Badweer is here, and Third Doctor Ian is here. Oh yeah, here we go. Then back to 1988, fellas.
Good times.
Like it was yesterday.
It does sometimes feel like I wish we were in some cases. It's ridiculous, isn't it? But thank you everybody for joining us. This is our season overview of season 25. We did another one of these a couple of months ago for something that had been on recently, and I don't know. But this is proper Doctor Who. We're coming back to now.
Good,
definitely, yeah.
Yes,
yeah, definitely.
And we are here, and we are here to talk about the silver anniversary year itself, the silver anniversary season, which of course starred Sylvester McCoy as the Doctor, Remembrance of the Daleks, the Happiness Patrol, Silver Nemesis, and, as Bedweer's t-shirt declares, the greatest show in the galaxy, the galaxy, the galaxy. That has been stuck in my mind for all these years. Just can't stop doing that here. Oh, wow. So, yeah, what a season this was. Coming after the season 24. I don't know how to describe that.
Coming after the previous season.
Coming after season 24, obviously. Again, produced by the one and only Mr. John Nathan Turner, and script edited by Andrew Cartmel. There we go there. So you're very welcome to everybody to join in with all your comments, join in with all your memories, join in with your views as it is now. And wow, look at everybody in the chat. It's great to see you all. Legion of James, what you're saying to us? Good evening, I'm working again, so just dropped in to say hi, and I'll watch back later. I love that.
Make sure you do.
Yeah. Although I love this series and the start of Seventh's darker story arc. Yeah, that's something that this was a bit of a shock for, wasn't it? You know, I mean, having come after, as I say, season 24, it's as though they listened to what all the criticism after that, isn't it?
Yeah. They don't do it nowadays, do they?
Well, we don't know when it comes back. It might be
I don't think they do, Phil, to be honest. Let's be honest, yeah.
No. Considering that they filmed that series and it's already in the can, I don't think they're probably going to listen. Yeah. Hiya, Stephen. I hope you were well. Stephen, of course, still got a poorly hand there, so I hope you're well. We watched Remembrance only this afternoon, and it's still excellent. Yeah. And X-Men 577, a psychic circus with Bellboy, Flower Child, Doctor, and Ace. And Paul Ashworth, they were all great apart from Happiness Patrol, which was crap.
Sitting on the fence there.
Will the WHOTASTIC panel agree with that one? I don't know. What I mean, oh, listen, that Matt, the Silent We Music in 1988, JT was a teenager. I was 18 years old. Like 18 years old in that, and I was pleasantly surprised with this series. And I was saying to the guys, everybody, before we came on to the show, I don't think I've ever celebrated season 25 ever in my life. But looking back at it now, I think we should, because it's not bad, is it really, guys? Is it?
It's not bad at all. There's some cracking stuff, cracking stories in this season, definitely. Yeah, it's wonderful.
Two of my favorites.
What makes it?
Two of my favorites too. Yeah.
What makes it wonderful then?
What makes it Remembrance to start off with is a cracking Dalek story. I know we've covered it before in reviews, but that's superb. But it's brought the Daleks back with a bang, and they're really good in this. And all the action scenes are great. Andrew Mogg is a fantastic director. A lot of stuff going for the first story, at least. Yeah.
Anybody else?
You know, when we were at this end of Doctor Who's run, and the seasons were hacked down from what we were always used to. and you did really get that sense of, are they going to renew it? Is it going to come back next year? You just weren't sure anymore. It was just not that staple. And wherever it was going to be put on, was it going to go on against Coronation Street again and have no chance whatsoever? And you every season you had that, and you're thinking, oh God, it's coming back. I hope it's not crap. I hope it's not like Trial of a Time Lord that really just started well for the first minute and then really tailed off. And this season came back, and you thought it's going to make it, because it started, it hit the ground running, and it was fantastic. And the Daleks looked fantastic. The scenes were fantastic. It was gripping, and the series just went. I mean, even Happiness Patrol, but I mean, the concept of the Happiness Patrol was great. It was just they weren't able to realize it. If they were working on a budget they had now, that they just spaff up the wall every week. If they had that in John Nathan Turner's time, they would have been churning out some incredible stuff, and some of it still holds up now. And then you compare that to now, and you're thinking, I really hope they cancel it. It's amazing how it's turned around, really. No, but it was a really hopeful start. It was like, wow,
And the opening superb. Just that model shot of the Dalek ship and all the voices from 63 are superb. That works really, really well.
Yeah, it does.
It's actually hard to say. Actually, to those of you that weren't there back in '88, this was a culture shock. That first episode of Remembrance of the Daleks really hit home, because I remember being a little bit nervous sitting down on that Monday night. And I was a student by this point, so I had a lot of people around me as well. To say, oh, we'll watch Doctor Who, yeah. And I'm thinking, oh no. But there was a sense of great optimism, because you had Sylvester McCoy and you had Sophie Aldred coming into this as well as Ace. But I remember sitting down with that, and then what you've just explained there about the Dalek ship coming through, all the voices, that prologue there, one of the first, because Doctor Who never used to do that back in the day. Used to go straight into the titles. And I just I can remember feeling, okay, this is already different. You could feel it straight away, couldn't you? The whole change of that. It was just amazing.
It's a cracking first episode. The last time I watched it was when we reviewed it a few months ago, and it was about a year ago maybe. But the thing about it is it's a cracking first episode. It does. It goes so quickly. It doesn't feel like 25 minutes. It feels like 10 minutes. It's really, really fast and pacey. And the bits in the junkyard are superb, don't you think?
Oh, they're wonderful. Andy's saying to us, hi, Andy, how are you? I can't remember any of the stories now. Well, hopefully this show will help to remind you of the four stories we've got there over those 13 weeks. 14 weeks, wasn't it?
Yeah.
How many was it? 14. Yeah, so hopefully this will remind you, because of course we are sort of celebrating the fact that next month in October, the season 25 Blu-ray box set, limited edition, is coming out as well, for those of you who collect those. And Bill, hi all. I've moved home a couple of months ago, and only one DVD has gone missing: The Greatest Show in the Galaxy.
Wow. That's okay.
I never actually watched it, so I'm really looking forward to the Blu-ray release. Oh, what do you mean by that, Phil?
I'm just being mean, but I'm just going to flip back to Remembrance, because I would have been 7 in 1988.
Shut it, you.
I remember, my family wouldn't have watched Doctor Who, so it must have just been on. But I distinctly remember the claw coming out of the Dalek case and gripping the Doctor's throat and being amazed by it. And then the playground of Riverside Primary School in Bristol being a buzz with Doctor Who. And I think we were all playing Doctor Who. We didn't really know what it was, but we'd seen this thing on TV, and we know that there was baddie robots and stuff. And I remember that really sort of clearly.
It's funny. I was 21 and I still got a fright with that. When it gets maybe time when it comes up and grabs the Doctor.
Yeah.
Maybe it's just Sylvester's acting, but it's really, really well done.
It's really good.
Yeah.
No, I mean, the fact that what you're saying there, Phil, this is 1988, the show's 25. As fans, we were very aware that John Nathan Turner wasn't doing a big 20th season thing, because he felt it was too soon after the last one. But there were those bits in this. You had the Daleks and we had the Cybermen. But the fact, you're saying there at that point, the Daleks were, well, it was still doing. They were still, the magic was still there. They were still on point.
It's just a cool robot thing. That's what I thought it was, And I guess I probably would have seen them on other TV shows, like they'd have guested on the Generation game or something. But I didn't really know what they were. We just thought they were cool.
Yeah. But what's your first memories of this? when you saw it?
So I would have been 2 in 1988. Sorry, guys.
All right.
So it would have been on VHS, so it would have been out of order and sporadic. But I remember getting Remembrance on video with the chase in that Dalek tin. And that felt really special. Then you watch it and you realize, oh wow, this is really special because it's brilliant. And then I remember distinctly getting Silver Nemesis on VHS from the Virgin Megastore in Cardiff, in the centre of Cardiff, which is now a gym. And that being really special because it came with that American documentary on it and was slightly extended, and then I had to wait
that awful cover.
I was going to say the beautiful cover, the shiny green one.
The green one, yeah.
I've still got it somewhere because I couldn't part with the cover.
Mine's beautiful because it's all signed by Sylv and Soph and
lovely,
nice.
And then having to wait a little bit longer for British Show and Happiness Patrol because they were post McGann video releases. But going back and watching, now it's all come out on DVD and watching it in a chronological order, you appreciate how good that series is. And okay, there's the two tentpoles of a Dalek story and a Cyberman story, but then you've got two really inventive and really interesting stories alongside it.
No, it's true. Well, we've got a lot of people in the chat talking to us about this as well. So we've got Lex saying the first time in 1988, before 2005, that the Daleks went up the stairs. I mean, as fans, it was our duty to remind a lot of people of that in 2005 and 2006.
They've always been able to go upstairs. Never mind Remembrance. They did it in the chase. They did it in the comics. They've done it all the time.
Yeah. So it was just only when I was going to say when the budget allowed, but we know that wasn't the fact. We know it was all these stagehands dragging the blooming prop up the stairs.
The behind the scenes stuff and that's superb, isn't it? Watching them struggle with that Dalek prop is brilliant.
But they did it brilliantly. So well done to them. Kev is with us. Hiya, Kev. Hello, everyone. Yes, could you imagine if they had today's budget? I love the van scene. 1 minute Ace was driving, then under a tunnel and McCoy was driving. That was the other thing about this season, because the previous season's campness is toned down an awful lot in this. So some of it's still there, like that particular scene Kev's talking about there. But actually, I don't mind that. It's sort of doctorish.
Yeah,
it's a great gag.
Yeah, it is. It's so well.
This is where Andrew Cartmell's properly got a hold of it. You feel with season 24 he's come in too late to really have an influence on it, so that's why we end up with those stories. But now he's had a full run at it and is able to cultivate the ideas that he wants Doctor Who to be, including the Happiness Patrol, and it's all the better for it. And Sylv and Soph just are magic from the start. That you wouldn't believe that Remembrance is their first story together.
You wouldn't, would you? No. Before we talk about them a little bit, let's have this one from Steve. Remembrance Part 1 is in my top 5 episodes, favorite top 5 episodes. Thanks, Steve.
Mine as well. It's superb. Yeah.
Stephen is saying, I videoed this story and was so stunned by it. I watched it over and over before Part 2. I seem to recall doing that myself, mate. Just thinking, wow, that was actually really good. It was just, I think it was just.
For the older members on the panel, do you remember the trailers being on?
No.
You don't remember the trailers? You remember the trailers, Ian? No.
I do vaguely remember the trailers, yeah.
They had some great shots.
I was 47 when this episode
was on. You were 47. You're winning very well, I have to say.
I don't remember the trailers. But then again, I was a student I was first year at university, so I was probably in the student bar. just not paying any attention until that Monday night when I knew it was going to be on. But wow, Alphabet Cat, hello, nice to see you. I thought the reveal for Davros as the Imperial Dalek Emperor was very novel at the time. It was also one of these things. Yeah, it was also one of these things, wasn't it, guys? That, at this point, when you get to episode 4, you're thinking, now this is fresh because this is just the Daleks. Dalek, and he's not here. He's not hogging the show anymore. He's not here. And then in the last 15 minutes or something, there he is. And we all go, oh my God. And it was another little sort of fan-pleasing moment done properly.
Yeah.
And even the public, if the public were watching this, bless them, and some were, they would have got this. They would have gone, oh, I know this character. Because by this point, he was truly iconic.
But it was lovely not to have them till the very end, wasn't it? To have the Daleks a chance to be scheming and exterminate and fight people and things. That was really nice without Davros being there.
Everyone thought he was in the chair, didn't they?
Yeah.
On Earth.
Yeah. But it ties in with the story at that point where, Ben Aronovich has since said, well, he gets arrested at the end of Revelation. So obviously that's not going to go against him. He's going to become the Emperor by the end of that trial. And lo and behold, he turns up. So it makes logical sense from your understanding of the character and how rubbish the Daleks are at dealing with him.
We've said it before in our review show. When it comes to this particular story, I think an ideal way to start off a new series, sort of borrowing from series 9 in a sense, where they start with the Daleks there. This one does it, but it does have that sort of self-referential thing that you can sort of forgive in a start. This is John going back to Totter's Yard, going back there and doing it again. It's 1963, which again it pays off in this, because the beautiful thing about it is I still watch this today, and I've said this in the review. It feels like a 1960s. There's something about it. There's something in the not just the costumes and the way everybody's at, but there's something.
I think it's Pamela Salem's hair that does it. To be honest, I think.
Bless her. God love Pamela Salem. We lost her this year, of course.
Yeah.
But there's a whole feel to this. It just looks like it could have been lifted from the 60s. It's even got that sort of gradient on the streets, where it's sort of like the thing that I don't know. It's hard to describe, but I grew up with that sort of feel, if you know what I mean. And that look where it wasn't quite bright and it wasn't quite, I don't know, I'm talking nonsense, but it looks like it's from the 60s. It's absolutely fantastic. I love that. It's all the way through.
It's not that glossy swinging 60s. It's tail end of the 50s, kind of almost grittiness, really.
Yeah. Making do.
You can imagine that the evenings are quite smoggy, can't you? I mean, I know when they have the telly on and it almost suggests that it's about to introduce Doctor Who, but it's in which case it's November or December and it's still light outside, but you can forgive that. But I mean, this whole story was quite. It stuck its neck out a little bit because you had that sign in the window, which was excluding certain ethnic groups, and all it was, and it was true of the time, and it was just there. She looked at it, and she said, "I'm going out." Whereas, can you imagine that nowadays? There'd be a whole episode about it and how evil everybody that lived in the country at that time was. And it'd be so preachy, whereas it was more of it had more impact for me as a watcher, same age as Paul watching it. It had more of an impact.
I was in 47. What are you talking about?
You moisturise.
I do. Yeah.
It had more of an impact just because it was so understated. Whereas now you compare it. Well, you didn't see JT. You didn't see Rosa or anything like that, all white people are racists and all that kind of thing. But it was, they couldn't do it today because they aren't subtle enough, they aren't clever enough.
But that's the context for the rest of the story, because it's two factions of Daleks.
Absolutely,
that's the whole point. But it's a
racial purity.
It's a brilliant Dalek story because of that, but it's not smacking you over the head with that message and that.
It leaves you to work it out, doesn't it? It leaves you to make those connections.
It's multi-layered, I think is the best way to describe it. I think.
Yeah. Well, it is, isn't it? I mean, you're right, Ian. I don't think they have the talent to do this. I mean, we've got to give a big shout out to the writers of these stories as we go through the show. This one, of course, by Ben Aronovich, who has gone on to fabulous stuff with his the Rivers series. I mean, just fantastic stuff. If you haven't read them, you really should. They are really good. Mark is asking us, hi all, can any of the panel put their finger on why they thought the original series was in trouble for cancelling? Yeah, it was just not popular. Science fiction fell out of favour with the new teams that came in on the 6th floor of the BBC, and they just went, no, we don't want this. And there was this sort of thing going on as well, that anything that had run over 6 years or something like that was old hat. We all know that in 84 and 85, Michael Gray came along and got rid of a whole load of stuff to make way for a brand new look BBC, which included EastEnders and Wogan and all this sort of stuff. So it was just a bit of a case that sadly it fell out of favor, and they thought, no, we can use the 50p we give it to run a series on something else. That's my take.
You knew it was on borrowed time. Every season you thought, oh, phew, we've been renewed, but you didn't know whether or not that was going to be it. And that's why season 25 really made you think it had a fighting chance. But they were still arsing it around in the schedules. They were still putting it against stuff like Coronation Street, but it was still getting a decent, rating. If you Bedwyr, can you imagine what the adjusted ratings for this story would be if you took into account all the repeated viewings?
Yeah,
and everything. You're
but
going to be
on a Saturday night as well. We've done so much better than.
It would have done.
Yeah,
it would have. And I've always said that Series 25 for me is a Saturday night Doctor Who again. It should have been back on at 6:25, 6:30 on a Saturday night, because the whole thing screams Saturday night entertainment Doctor Who. When you look at it now, season 25, and if you're going to look at it now, or you're going to wait for the box set to come through, have a think of that, because I remember, in those days, each episode was 25 episodes over certain nights. So it was on over a matter of weeks. I think it would have done brilliantly at 6:30 on a Saturday night to start off the BBC's. I mean, I don't remember what the BBC had on a Saturday night at that particular point, but Bob's Full House, I think. Oh, fabulous. But I think it would have done brilliantly. Sorry?
Was it Generation Game at that point?
Noel Edmonds?
It was probably Noel, one of Noel's shows, wasn't it? 88, possibly.
The Late Night Breakfast Show, maybe something like that. I don't know. Yeah,
chucking people out of crates. I don't know.
No, I don't know. It might have been Noel's house party started at that point. Yeah. It might have been the house party. I don't know. But the BBC was getting big viewers, and you had Scylla on the other side with Blind Date. If you'd put Doctor Who on before either of those, I reckon the public would have gone, "Oh, we'll watch a bit of Doctor Who before we go to Scylla or Noel or whoever." It would have been brilliant. Alphabet Cat, I thought the reveal for Davros as the Imperial Dalek Emperor was... I said that one, didn't I? But you said, there you go, you say it twice now. Michael's making an interesting point. JT, Silver Nemesis is just Remembrance of the Daleks, but with the Cybermen instead of the Daleks.
Yes.
Yeah. And Alphabet Cat is saying to us, and don't forget, of course, the Special Weapons Dalek. How could we not talk about the Special Weapons Dalek as part of this? The big thing about season 25, that a new element of the Daleks comes trundling along with that great music. And you'll go, what? I just remember that. So, what is that? Oh my God. Wow. I'm just boom.
A Rambo Dalek, as Sylvester McCoy describes it. Yeah.
The Rambo.
Yeah, it's all battered and dirty, and it's seen some action, and then whoosh.
Yeah. I have to say, the wars in this, though, between the two Dalek factions, you can see were very good, weren't they?
Is that a new effect shot you got there?
Yeah.
Yeah, because there's more Daleks here, isn't there?
There's definitely more Daleks there, isn't there?
Yeah, this is from the new effects from the Blu-ray, because they've tarted them up for this special release, as they tend to do. I mean, are you guys excited about these new elements that they've brought in as well?
I think they're nice to have, but I'm definitely an advocate of, as long as you have the originals, you can choose if you want to. Yeah. And they can look because the effects in the series aren't too bad for the time, particularly.
They're all right, aren't they?
Yeah,
I think they're
like
okay.
It how it was.
Yeah.
Like, I wouldn't. If they
when you were two, Bedwyr, how did you feel when you watched it when you were two? Did that grab you?
I can't say whether I watched it in 1988 or not. I would have been aware of it. On the updated effects, I'd quite like some sort of retro cyber ships, that sort of 60s kind of designs for cyber ships maybe, and stuff like that. But no, I think other than the Daleks on the cobbles going from side to side, like the
Weeble,
doesn't need much more.
I wonder if they've made them glide now in the new versions. I wonder if they glide over those cobbles a bit. I don't know.
I'm not sure how they do that.
Well, didn't they do one of the Winter episodes where they were gliding over stuff? I saw a picture somewhere where they were. They
did that in a Jodie Whittaker episode from Flux. I remember, and it was really crap. I remember.
Oh dear.
Yes.
How can it in this day and age look really bad?
It did. I don't know if whoever saw it voted for me on that one. I think
I just don't get that. Ilo My Roku, who's saying to us on recent rewatches of the era, the one thing I can't bear is the orchestral stabs in the soundtrack. the soundtrack is the soundtracks of this season are toned down for me than they were in season 24. There's some nice little moments for me throughout these episodes here. That Happiness Patrol. There's a wonderful soundtrack in there from Mr. Glynn. Greatest Show again. Dominic's soundtrack for that. I find that quite mysterious.
That's Mark Ayres, isn't it? For Greatest Show, yeah, isn't it?
Oh yeah,
yeah.
Is it?
So.
I can't
I'm
remember.
sure
It's too long ago. But I don't know. It seems to be the soundtracks for these 4 episodes seem to be a little bit calmer.
And like you say, you've got the variety. It's not all just Kef; it's other people as well. So it gives a bit of a variety to it, doesn't it?
Yeah. Because
last season it was all Kef, wasn't it? I think.
And it was very of the time, wasn't it?
Yeah.
Kef music. It had those sort of, I don't know, those instrumental sounds that were in the pop, the hit parade at the time. In the top 20 and what have you. It was all those sort of.
I've got a drum machine. I'm not afraid to use it. Kind of thing.
Yeah. Stock Aitken and Waterman type stuff.
Yeah.
Yeah, I don't know, but yeah, it's interesting. It's interesting. Thanks for that, my Rocco. And Mark is asking us: season 25, season 26 has a lot more outdoor location shoots. Do we know why? Because they could.
Yeah. Well,
it works so much better on location, doesn't it? It really does.
Really.
Well,
does.
it was JNT because what do you have? 14 episodes. So the idea was to do 2 4-parters and a 6-parter, but the way JNT thought of it as 2 3s and 2 4s meant that they could do 2 of them on location and then 2 of them would be studio based, and then Greatest Show couldn't get into studio, so it ended up in the car park of Elstree. Or
famous story, that, isn't it?
Yeah, so so that's why Happiness Patrol is all studio based, and you get a lot of location stuff by the time they get to season 26 because it's just easier to do it on location.
Yeah,
it's a shame Happiness Patrol is not on location or filmed in a kind of a place that looks like a city in another planet, because it's so studio bound. I think it loses a lot for that.
It really does. And of course, the original plan, of course, with that was to do it in black and white, and that was vetoed for various reasons. But I think it would have looked a lot better in black and white, to be honest, because those sets are actually gorgeous.
It's supposed to be exteriors.
Yes, it's supposed to be a city at night. And I said it before. Having seen the 3D visualization here on the Tube of Who. I can't remember the name of the channel now. I'll have to look that up. I'll put it in the links because it's a brilliant channel. And you look at this and you just think, my God, the actors must have walked into the studio and gone, wow. And it's all lost on screen because it doesn't come across well. But in real life, it must have looked stunning because it's tall and it's long and there's streets, and it's such a shame. It really is.
Looks a bit like a Panto set on the screen, I think. It looks a bit hand painted, a bit school playy almost. I mean, that's insulting.
It looks very theatrical, definitely. Yeah.
It doesn't look like an outside.
Still 1988 though. They still had the 3 slap policy in most of the sets, didn't they? So something like the Happiness Patrol is actually quite brave for the time because it's wraparound, as it were. I mean, if you look at the original TARDIS control room. Even though it's very, very small in Greatest Show in the Galaxy, because the walls are warping as you watch it, bits are falling off. Hello, Paul Ashworth. How are you? The Daleks and the Cybermen were great the days before Moffat ruined them. Psychic Circus was very good, and the surreal, trippy elements really worked. This is again, this is what I say about most, all of this series, all the elements in this. They do come together nicely, I think. It's a great series. And Mike Disney saying, my postman told me that the Daleks hovering up the stairs was the last straw for him as he delivered my Remembrance DVD recently. Why was that? Why was that the last straw?
It's funny, my wife saw that when she saw them flying in the new series. But that's rubbish. What are they doing that for? So I can relate to that, yeah.
Oh, look, Sheila B in the Devotions is with us. Hello, young pups. I was 26 in 86. Were you? Oh, Sheila. So what did you think of all this? Were you watching this on the Monday night? What did you think? Paul is also saying to us, Paul A, Doctor Who went downhill when Peter Davison left. However, Sylvester really got into the role, and when Sophie Aldred joined the team, they were both ace together. There was definitely a difference here. Not that we're going to say anything bad ever about Bonnie on this channel, because I love Bonnie, but there was definitely something in the writing here that changed, and something in that relationship. Because here's the Seventh Doctor now with a companion that just sort of altered him somehow. And Martin's saying to us, "I'm glad Sylvester is finally getting some appreciation." Yeah. Well, we appreciate him a lot on this show.
Sometimes it is just alchemy. You just put two actors together and it just works. Yeah. Like Tom and Liz, or you know, John and Katie. You know, it just works. And yeah, Sophie and Sylv are the perfect combination for me.
Yeah, but it's like Paul was saying earlier. If you watched any of these episodes today, you wouldn't realize this was their first season together.
No, exactly. The chemistry is really good. Yeah.
Yeah. They really just hit that ground running, don't they? It's as though they suddenly get these scripts coming through and they know what they've got and they think, right. But I love the fact that Cartmel brings this in. No nonsense, no faffing around, straight into a Dalek story, bang. And here's the 25th anniversary series, you know, just get on with this. Because as fans, we all were very aware of the you know, this momentous occasion, 25 years. We'd just been through all that nonsense a couple of years before. We were all still living, as you said, Paul, on that sort of edge of a seat going, and Paul, Ian mentioned it as well, is it going to come back? That was our life then at this point. From 1986 onwards, it was always going to be, is it going to come back? Is it going to come back? Is it come back? So to get into this was a nice sort of muted celebration, this series, wasn't it?
Yeah. That photograph you put up of the Cybermen with the cake, those chrome Cybermen look superb. That's one of my favorite images of them. Look so good.
They really shone in the light, didn't they?
They did, yeah.
They reflected it. I think if I can just sort of like go back a little bit to the special weapons Dalek. I know we just focused on Cybermen there, so I do apologise. But
no, just go where you want on this one. It's just an appreciation of the whole thing. You go where you want.
In the Celestial Toy Room, the newsletter of the Doctor Who Appreciation Society, at that time when they were prepping for, or it was running up to the transmission, you knew that there was going to be another different type of Dalek in it. And they showed this picture, which was for a Fate, I think. And it was a car that was built up to look like a very, very, very big Dalek. And it was massive. And it had a semicircular dome and a really stick eye. And I was thinking, oh my God, please, this is not the Special Weapons Dalek. I was mortified to think that this was going to appear.
Was that the thing that appeared on Blue Peter with Karen Keating driving it? Is that the one?
Possibly, yes.
It was a black and gold.
Yeah.
It looked like something that would shrink down and eventually be a BBC Two ident. It was that bad.
I think I remember that with Karen Keating, yeah.
But then when the Special Weapons Dalek came on, my God, that was incredible. I loved it. It. You knew that they'd spent some money on this story with the props and everything else. They'd refurbed the grey ones. And the
grey one's not brand new Daleks, though. From they're not the same as ones from Revelation, are they? They're not, are they?
I got the assumption they were refurbed original ones. I've no idea what happened to the Necros ones, but I mean the Imperials were new props.
Yes, they were.
But I thought the grey ones were
because to use a technical term, by that point the Daleks were a bit shagged, weren't they? At that point?
Yeah, they were a bit, yeah.
They were terrible. Listen, Paul Ashworth, thank you so much for your super chat there with your sticker. Thank you for that. It always amuses me that. I really appreciate that one. Oh, it cheers me up with those silly things. They are funny. But thank you for that. Really like that one.
Do you want me to go into Daleks?
Yeah, can I just say this one, Kev? This is definitely the ultimate McCoy season. The balance between action, comedy, grit, and drama. It's real Doctor Who. And it came at a time where we all thought, what's going to happen now? So I agree with you, Kev. This was real Doctor Who again. I'm not saying that season 24 and season 23 weren't, because they are. You can still see the Doctor in them, for example. But this was something where, don't forget, we had this whole thing of coming in about who is he again, as Silver Nemesis proves. Go on, Bedria.
I'm going to bore everyone now with Dalek prop history, but
no, you're not.
No, you're not. Keep it coming.
I'll tell you if you do.
So the Renegade grey and black ones are largely refurbished originals. Most of those are Necros Daleks, so they're relatively new. But there is one, was it Dalek 1, top half of Dalek 1, skirt of Dalek 7, which is dating back to 63, And then the Imperials there's only 4 of them, and they're all brand new.
Wow.
So they
about
revamped
the black
the
one?
gold ones from Revelations. Is that what you're saying?
Yeah. So the
Yeah.
Necros Daleks, they are converted into Renegade grey and black ones.
Right.
One of them is the Supreme black and silver one.
Right.
And then the Imperials are all new builds, so 4 new Imperial Daleks. And then the Emperor and the special weapons are slightly special cases.
Oh, really? Oh, I like all that. That's great. Thank you for that, Bedouin.
Yeah,
So
I
there
mean,
you go.
well, shout out to Dalek 6388, John and Gav.
Yeah, great
their
channel.
website. You can spend hours and hours looking up their.
Oh, yes, you can. Trust me.
Yeah.
You end up in one of those loops. Oh, I just want another, and before you know, it's 3:00 in the morning. It's absolutely.
Yeah. I've been there as well. Yeah. It's a great channel. Recommend it.
Yeah, and if they've got a great video on the special weapons Dalek in particular, which I highly recommend.
It's the Dalek.
So the
equivalent
special
of
weapons
the
Dalek
radio
used in the
rabbit
new series, is that actually the same one from Remembrance?
Oh God, not.
So I put you on the spot there, Bedouin. Sorry about that.
So for Asylum of the Daleks, it was because it was the one used that was sitting in the Doctor Who experience at the time. But then when they did the Capaldi 2-parter, that was a rental from and a replica.
Right.
You can tell because it's got flashing lights inside it.
Yeah.
What did you say there, Ian?
No, I was just saying Dalek 6388. It's the Dalek equivalent of going down a rabbit hole, isn't it? You come out in another month or season
Really, yeah.
or year.
Yeah.
But it's time well spent. It really is time well spent. That site is incredible.
Mark McIntosh is saying, hello, everyone. Whatever happened to Roy Trommeley as the Dalek Emperor? He never worked again.
Yeah, he drives buses now, I think.
Yeah. And hello to Glenn. You can imagine a Remembrance of the Daleks fitting very well into the 2005 series when Doctor Who returned, spicing the Daleks up and creating new, like, special weapons Dalek. It has a new series feel to it. Well, it did. Season 25 was like a renaissance for Doctor Who, I think. This was a case of 4 cracking stories, all just giving it that sort of different edge. Season 26 is different again, but you've got this, and it does set that because a lot of it gears towards the whole thing about the companion being on equal terms now to the Doctor. Not that I'm saying they were originally, but it is slightly different with Ace taking a lot of the lead because Sylvester doesn't want to do it. I'm not kidding. But yeah, it is there. And I'm still surprised that with the huge popularity of the special weapons Dalek, it wasn't ever developed into the new version. Yeah. Why was it never there? Is it because it was able to go boom straight away, end of story? I don't know. It's such a shame.
Well, that shot when it does shoot at the 2 Renegade Daleks is brilliant, isn't it? Just a pile of dust. That's all you've got. It's fantastic.
Well,
greasy patches on the floor.
Yeah.
When it blows the doors off into the yard, it actually damages itself and all the other Imperial cases.
Yeah, when it melts them all and behind the scenes stuff, it's really funny, isn't it?
You're only supposed to blow the bloody doors off.
I love all those old stories of the BBC, the effects guys getting a little bit carried away, and everybody talks about it. It was,
before Health and Safety, that's it, superb. Yeah,
one of the most famous one is The Greatest Show in the Galaxy, where Sylv walks away from that. Oh goodness me! You wouldn't get away with it today.
I mean, they set off that massive explosion under a bridge near a railway station in the middle of London at the height of the IRA.
Yes, yes, indeed, yes, indeed. Only the BBC lads could do that.
Well, only the Daleks could get away with that.
No, and they did as well, didn't they? When we spoke about this, when all the police and the fire crews rolled up, oh, it's a Dalek. Oh, it's on in a day, lads. Let's go. Brilliant. That's the effect Doctor Who used to have. Matt532, nice to see you. I wonder what the effects of the Dalek levitating up the stairs and the hand of Omega hovering have been improved. That's on the season 25 box, of course. I do have some stills, actually, that we can go through if you want through this show. Because, as we say, season 25 is on the way. This is the cover for it here. It's out next month.
A lovely cover, I have to say.
It's
Gorgeous.
fabulous.
Yeah.
It really is great. The colouring is wonderful. But there it is, season 25 in all its glory. And there are new effects in all this, as we know. And we've got this one from Remembrance.
Wow.
Is that the shot where the Hand of Omega destroys Scarrow, is it?
Yeah, this is where the Hand of
yeah.
Omega is being released.
Yeah.
Off it goes. And here it is again.
Well, that's nice.
That's very like Scarrow in the TV movie, isn't it? Which would have followed it.
It's
Yeah,
also
I
like
think-
Scarrow and that Abomination Destination Scarrow. Less about
Yeah.
the better. Yeah.
But
Yeah.
also, Scarrow was also red in the Tennant era, wasn't it? Was it Stolen Earth? I can't remember. Where else was it? Was it just the TV movie? I'm sure it appeared again where it was red. They
I
kept
think
it going.
Gallifrey was.
Gallifrey
when
red
Gal-
again. Oh, don't
When
know.
Gallifrey appeared in the sky over Earth. I think that was red.
Right.
Did Scarrow appear in Stolen Earth? I don't think it did it?
I don't know. I can't remember. I'm sure there was somewhere where I was thinking
Google
about
it.
at least keeping the continuity going. But this is all. If you remember, a few months ago, we talked about this on our show, where it was announced that season 25 was coming through. We did a Merchandise Paradise Live, and this was the tweet that Pete McTee put out. New classic Who season 25 is the next Doctor Who Blu-ray set with Sylvester McCoy and Sophie Aldred, the Jewels and the Crown, our brand new special editions of all 4 stories. I've edited and produced 3 of them, and they're glorious, full of surprise treats. And congratulations to them as well, because season 25 in the Amazon Blu-ray box sets immediately went in the charts. It went to number 1 in drama, it went to number 1 in sci-fi, and number 1 in Blu-ray, as these collection box sets tend to do. So well done them. Not bad for a series that was broadcast in 1988. Eh? It's amazing how original Doctor Who still gets to the charts. And I did look at the moment, all these weeks later. This is just before we came on air. It's currently number 12 in drama, number 17 in science fiction, and number 30 in the Blu-ray chart. Now, considering what else has come out on Blu-rays, that's blooming good. That's really good, because it's got some really, really tight opposition there from all sorts of stuff, especially Hollywood alleged blockbusters. So well done to them. And it's sold in the last month alone over 400 copies. So it's still selling.
Good. Yeah.
Isn't that wonderful?
Even though they've pushed the date back.
Yeah. Yeah.
It's still going to be October. Don't worry about it. It's still October.
Just.
Just about.
Yeah.
I just
I did that picture you put up, JT, of the new visuals for Half an Patrol. They look really, really good, and they make it look more epic in terms of being a proper city, which is really, really good.
Well, it does. I've got this one for that.
That's lovely. Yeah.
Yeah. So they've really, again, they've splashed the boat out here, haven't they, for this? And we've got this one as well. One of my favorite scenes in Sylvester McCoy Doctor Who is this balcony scene, which they've built around here, and there's flying cars in here as well, and all this sort of annoying pink neon. Which
It's got kind of Blade Runner vibes about it a little bit, hasn't it?
It's a little bit of that
BBC
coming
Blade
in.
Runner.
Yeah,
On a budget, obviously.
on a very big budget. But that's one of my favorite scenes in all of Sylvester McCoy's Doctor Who. That's the moment, I remember that in Happiness Patrol, when he's on the balcony with those 2 fellas, and he does that. And I just thought, this Doctor, I mean, the scene had been set with Remembrance, when he was being all mysterious and, you know, and all this sort of stuff. But here we get this. Yeah. Here we get this.
I don't get it. I was watching Remembrance on Monday on the flight over, and I just still don't get the tea thing about if I put it in or not, and it makes ripples, and it's just a bit like.
I do.
It just means never take sugar in your tea. That's all it
No,
says.
yeah,
I
don't worry
don't.
about it.
I never have. So
You'll be fine then. You'll be fine.
about?
Yeah.
I think that's a lovely speech. I think that, but I love all these little moments where Sylvester had these sort of, oh, am I doing the right thing? Because this is the start of this whole chess game that he's playing, isn't it? With time and everything, basically.
So I
love
the
all that
Happiness
idea of
Patrol one.
Hartnell bringing a weapon from Gallifrey, and that's why they're on Earth, and they're trying to hide it. And all those references to the owner of the casket having white hair and all that kind of stuff is really lovely, don't you think?
Well, it suits the 2025 year as well, doesn't it? Because you know you're not getting a multi-doctor thing at this particular point. And I think most of us were okay with that, because you can't, at this point, you couldn't top the 5 Doctors. Yeah. Really. So I think most of us are okay at this particular point with that. But also because it's you know, still does make this series its own, and it's nice and subtle. The references to its 25th anniversary, okay, it harks back to 63 an awful lot. It comes around again in Silver Nemesis, doesn't it? You can forgive it though, because it's nice and subtle. It's not like in your face as it could be. It's lovely. But that scene, the balcony scene, Who Viewers, is one of my favorite Sylvester McCoy moments in his era, because I remember this to this very day. This is, remember, I was thinking, oh, this Doctor's a little bit dangerous. Look at him. He's playing a fool, and he's not. This is the most dangerous man in the room. We talk about how today the Doctor gives us today is apparently the most cleverest man in the room. At this point, I was thinking, this guy's dangerous. You do not mess with this Doctor, because he doesn't really care. Do you know where I'm going with that?
We could have had Paul McGann 8 years early if he wasn't careful, though, to be honest. But,
Yeah. But you know what I mean? What I'm saying about that, though?
I love the balcony scene. I think it's great. I think that for me works perfectly, and I love it.
I remember Doctor Who magazine running like a 25 moments or best moments in Who, and that was on there, and rightly so.
Thanks to Mark for telling me Andrew Orton does the set design YouTube channel. If you haven't seen that, go and look up Andrew Orton. It's absolutely fantastic stuff, because he takes the plans, the blueprints for the sets for all eras of Doctor Who in the BBC Television Centre in the original donut, and builds these 3D visual representations of it. And the Happiness Patrol one, that's when I looked at that thinking that was an amazing set. Why didn't it work on television? Why didn't it come across? Why do you just think it's a load of old flats? Because it's not. It's leveled, and it's huge, and it's got streets and all. And go and look at Andrew's channel. Thank you for that, Mark. Because I'm terrible these days. I can't remember anybody's name anymore. Who are you lot? But anyway, it's a great channel. Go and look at it, and it shows you where they put the various sets over the filming periods, and it's so informative. It's a brilliant channel. I can't recommend it enough. But yeah, thank you for that, Mark, for reminding me. Yeah, so where are we up to?
I was gonna say we're on the Happiness Patrol. So I must admit, at the time I didn't really like this very much, and I'm still not very sure about it. I would be negative about it, but I agree with what Bedweir said. There's some nice ideas in the season with Happiness Patrol and Great Show in the Galaxy, but I'm much more into Daleks and Cybermen myself, and that's just me. But
well, talking about Greatest Show, we've got this one here. Just Jordan saying the Greatest Show in the Galaxy creeped me out a bit. I'm also deathly afraid of clowns. Oh, are you, Just Jordan?
He's superb, though, I have to say. Yeah.
Trigger warning.
Oh, we don't do any of that nonsense on this show, us. Yeah. No. Pete's pointing out there were 2 stories Earth and 2 off-world, and it was a good choice. You've only got 4 stories to play with, though, Pete. So I'm actually quite glad that they did. I mean, they could have gone for the whole thing of all 4 of them being on Earth, but I think they must have realised that could have got a little bit boring,
And
well, that's what they do in season 26.
Yeah.
What did you think of Happiness Patrol in the in the chat? Let us know what you're doing this. Andy is saying to us, I would love to know the iPlayer viewing figures for the classic era. Wouldn't we all?
I know. I've been
off
watching
the scale, Andy, off the scale.
Yeah, because they are adding to the broadcast figures as well. Aren't they? We've talked about that on our other shows, on Headlines. They are adding to that. So can you imagine now? A lot of them will be, whoa, they must have been 30 million. So can you imagine where the Ark in Space is now? Come on.
Yeah. That already was at 14 million, wasn't it? Or something like that. So
yeah, and then repeat viewings.
Yeah.
What's this from Chris? Hello, Chris. Sylvester McCoy needed writing for his individual strengths as Magician Dark Doctor. Yes, of course it is. Yeah. That's exactly how it comes across. Hello to Mrs. Lisa Pertwee's gal. She's in there as well. Nice to see you. What else we got? Well, oh, here we go. Stephen is saying, Phil, the sugar scene is about altering the timelines and the consequences. It's a lovely speech. Yeah, I agree with that, Stephen. So Yabu to you.
No, I mean, I'll take it. It just, for me, it's a bit. What? It's a few minutes that I would have trimmed out.
Well, they kind of did, didn't they? A little bit. I think that scene has been trimmed a bit, hasn't it? I think.
I don't know. I've heard the rumors over the years, but I wouldn't want to.
Yeah.
I love that speech. I think it shows the sort of. It's as though this Doctor's about to go into battle after all those years, 25 years of time and space freedom and enjoying themselves and being shouted at by Tegan. And now suddenly he's going, I've got to get down to business now and sort this thing out. And he's in the right incarnation to do it now, because it's though the others have just gone, no, I don't want to know, don't want to know, no. And then the seventh has come along and going, I'm having this.
I think as well, Peter Halliday, superb as a blind vicar. That's a really great idea, having a blind vicar.
I like the blind vicar.
I just explained that for anybody.
Very quiet.
Just explain a bit more about Peter Halliday for anybody that's out the UK.
Peter Halliday is a regular Doctor Who actor in many, many stories, but he's in Remembrance playing a vicar who was responsible for the Doctor's casket funeral, effectively. Right. And he comments that the Doctor's a different voice in the story, because obviously he sounded like Hartnell the first time we met him.
Yeah. But he's been there since what, Troughton?
Yeah, he's in Invasion.
Yeah, I watched him
Cybermen
in the Invasion this weekend.
Yeah.
Oh, I love that story. But I think the last time he was in
City of Death, wasn't it? Before this,
it must have been City of Death, his last appearance. Now here he is back, and it's nice again because it's a season 25 regular. Because of course, again in this one we've got Michael in it as well, haven't we? Mr. Brosnan, was it Bronson? Bronson himself coming in. Michael Sheard.
Michael Sheard, yeah.
Somebody we miss desperately at conventions, because he always made a good convention, Mr. Sheard. He was a proper entertainer, you know.
Peter Halliday. I always liked Peter Halliday. I mean, in Invasion, the way
Packer's brilliant.
Packer, who over the course of the story gradually loses his control. He just loses it completely. It's brilliant. But of course, he is also Silurian voices as well, isn't he?
And Ambassador's voices as well. And the Cyber Planner as well, I think. Cyber Controller of his,
Yeah.
It's quite prolific, really, when you think about it.
It was an actor that was, I mean, you see him now when you watch things like The Avengers and, you know, all these other things that come onto all the other channels. There he is again now. And yet at the time, I don't remember him for anything else except Doctor Who. It's just, oh God. You know, it's
and he does a great turn in Carver Monsters as well. He's superb in that as well.
Oh, yeah.
Yeah, absolutely brilliant.
Sure. Yeah.
We've got lots of you joining us tonight, and this is our season overview of season 25, and we are looking forward to the Blu-ray release as well, where that comes out in October. Hi, Andy's Vinyl. Hi, all the Candy Monster. Great villain, great lines. We've got to talk about Bertie. We've got to talk about the Candyman, haven't we?
Yeah, I think it's a great costume. It's a great costume. Works really well. But it's just ridiculous, isn't it, to be honest?
But you know what? It does work well. It is a great costume. I remember seeing this in the exhibition and thinking, actually, that's better in reality than it was on telly, because there was all these extra details like the goo and the sugar and the crystallized, and it sort of glittered in the exhibition lights, I remember, because it was supposed to be sugar. And it actually did look quite scary. I actually quite like him. And I did at the time just thinking, now this is real proper Doctor Who nonsense.
I think if you were a kid watching this, you'd be terrified because it's a really scary idea, I think, you know.
Sweets coming to life.
Me loved it because it was that thing that was on my dad's sweets. It was on the licorice all sorts. So,
I always like the pink and yellow ones myself.
Great.
You know?
Oh dear. Oh, do you remember the fuss though at the time? Who viewers? I mean, but the people. This was too akin to Bertie Bassett, and as Phil says there, Bertie Bassett, for those of you outside the UK. I don't know if he's there anymore, probably not, but he was this character that was on
Licorice All Sorts,
Sweets, wasn't it? Licorice All Sorts and all this.
Yeah.
And they were not happy at all because their friendly character was here sliming people.
The fondant surprise.
They've probably been quite happy for years with Tom Baker and Jelly Babies, though. They probably did quite a bit of good business out of Doctor Who.
Sure they did,
So they need to wind the neck in, don't they, really? I mean,
I would have thought the production officer would be sent lots of sweeties the way you do if you advertise it, you know, that kind of thing. You know?
I remember years later, Phil, I don't know if you were around, but John was saying some gig to a lot of us. He loved it all. He loved all the blessed team. He said, "Oh, we couldn't have planned it better," because you know people were going, "Doctor Who's got Bertie Bassett? What's going on?" It's only 3 episodes though, as well, isn't it? It's
memorable. It
is
surreal, and it fits in with the story being a bit surreal. And if it had been shot more black and white kind of out there, then it might not have been as effective. But My favorite, Bertie Bassett stuff is the idea at the very end. They wanted the actor in the suit to go down that slide, and Sylve said no, because that's all going to cut into him. It's going to be dangerous. And so they got a fake skeleton. And I don't know if any of you have seen the outtakes, but on the first attempt, it just slides straight off the end.
I haven't seen that.
Yeah,
it's absolutely hilarious. And then because it's made a mess, that they've spent the next half an hour having to clean it all up to get it to do the shot again. Because it's just so funny.
The sequences prior to that, but when the Candyman's running around through the tunnels, it's really effective. And Dominic's music works really well during that, but he's running away from everything. It's really good.
He's a genius. I mean, you'll all know I'm a huge fan of Dominic's. He's been on the show. He came on the show last year and talked to us about his music. Twice he came onto the show, actually.
I do wonder if the Candy Kitchen scenes, if they'd been lower lit, it might have been even more scary. Because as you say, in the tunnels, it is very effective because it is more dimly lit. And actually, if they'd brought the lights down in the Candy Kitchen a bit, it might have, been a bit more scary.
A bit more Hammer horror, maybe.
Yeah.
Maybe.
I really like the pipe people in this as well. They're quite an interesting creation. Yeah, they're very nice. Yeah.
Yeah.
Good masks.
Yeah.
Yeah, definitely back to the sort of Friedlander type.
Yeah.
Yeah, I quite like the fact that they picked up on Ace's kind of speech pattern was quite funny as well.
And Gordon Bennett.
Gordon Bennett. Stuff, yeah.
You see, years before certain other showrunners came in, these things were happening. It was all there, wasn't it? It was all.
Yeah.
But, I mean, the pipe people as well. Interesting, because I still don't quite know where they came from. But then I haven't watched it recently, so maybe it is all in there. But I just remember at the time thinking, these are funny little creatures. I wonder how they got on afterwards with all these sort of false people who... Hey, isn't it interesting, though, all these years later, that the Happiness Patrol is still very much around today? I mean, it's this particular thing. I mean, it's even given us merchandise coming off it now featuring this. Hasn't it?
Finally.
I mean, it's just that... None of us thought in '88 when we watched this, apart from the what are they doing? How dare they try and cheer the thing up? But it's around now all the time. I find that horrific, actually, what's happening there.
It's funny, we've had in Glasgow, they have red police boxes, or had done at some points, and they're not far off that, to be honest.
Oh, that's true, isn't it? Yeah.
I think those used to have telephones in them.
Yeah.
Imagine that. Now, at some point, we must explain what a telephone is to people. We'll get back to that.
Yeah, Google it, folks. Google it. Yeah.
We've got this from
What's
Stephen.
A landline? Yeah.
Stephen says, "I love the Candyman. It's surreal, like the toy maker and the mine robber."
Yeah, exactly.
Oh, that's interesting.
Don't say that. They'll have him back. They'll turn him into a god and have him back.
They can't have to give Bertie Bassett lots of money.
He'll have been lurking in the back of the food machine in the TARDIS for the last 60 years. And he'll come back as a god of all sweets.
The god of confection.
The god of all sweets. Oh, God, that's funny.
That sounds like a proper storyline. It really does. Yeah.
Oh, yeah. I've said it before. Stop giving them ideas. Bassett's missed the trick. They could have had a little Candyman in every box. That would have sold millions, says Stephen Braddock. They certainly could have done something a little bit more rather than going, And
they could have made it like the troll doll for Terry the Autons. If it gets heated up, it'll strangle you or something like that.
Exactly, yeah. A lot of you in the chat are going, Gordon Bennett. Who was Gordon Bennett? Anyway, I never met him. Anyway, and Lex, thank you for your super chat. Hey?
Was he a footballer?
As if I'd know.
I don't know.
Please.
Anyone in the chat?
There's one from Google again. Yeah.
I have
I know
no
Gordon
idea.
Banks was a footballer.
The last footballer I know was Kevin Keegan. Thank you very much to your super chat, please, Lex Kane. Thank you
I can just see the perm now, JT.
It was the 80s. The clown from Creative Show the Galaxy reminds me of the Joker from Batman 1989 and the Dark Knight movies. It's a fantastic performance there. Before we get on to talk about clowns and stuff, and beware, Jordan, beware, we are going to be talking about the clowns. I just want to point out Sheila Hancock as well, and we were talking about her recently because they went to the BFI and they talked about the season 25 and they did show the Happiness Patrol. But this is I always find, guys, that this is sinister. This is a really sinister setup here. Yeah, okay. There's always that thing that, you know, she admitted, oh yeah, I based it on Margaret Thatcher, our then Prime Minister. Fair enough. You can sort of. I know that certain people around her were going, oh, okay, that's not what we were expecting. But it's amazing how the Happiness Patrol is actually quite relevant today, because here you've got a leader of a planet insisting everybody's happy and everybody says these certain things and everybody says this and that. I mean, it's quite relevant again in that sense, you know, where you've got this but isn't the Happiness Patrol, when you look at it, it's really a sinister story.
It's very dark for something so pink.
Yeah. And that's why I think, Phil, that's that color pink in this is actually quite relevant, because everything is that sickly, ghastly neon 80s pink. It's like watching Top of the Pops or Saturday Superstore.
Yeah, but it's
You were saying,
artificial
JT, this is
happiness,
less camp than last season, but this one's particularly camp, though, isn't it? Let's be honest.
Yeah, I think that's why it works. It'd be interesting to see what we all think about those the new effects in there, whether they've managed to keep that sort of sinister vibe to it. You know, what do you think about that, everybody, for the Happiness Patrol in the chat? Do you think I'm right with that? Do you think it's always coming across? And the older I get, and I haven't watched it in a couple of years. I think the last time I watched the Happiness Patrol must have been 2020, when I was going through proper Doctor Who. And that's when I really started to think, wow, this is actually really dark. When you look at this is really creepy. She's really creepy. And Sheila seems to understand that. And she's gone for that whole false element, because I know, you know, there's parts of it here. You like Fifi, don't you, Third Doctor? And you like Fifi in this episode. The only thing she cares about is this horrible sort of dog thing.
Yeah, but when Fifi dies, Sheila Hancock, it's heartbreaking, because she's devastated. And the whole point of you've got to be happy all the time, Fifi's passed, and so she's heartbroken and she can't contain it. She can't be happy then.
And it's clear that it's the only thing that she's ever really genuinely loved.
Yeah.
Yeah.
And again, Dominic's music enhances that moment as well. It's really, really nice with the harmonica and stuff. It's really that blues harmonica, really nice.
It is. It brings it all around, doesn't it? She's been enforcing happiness onto people when she's actually a real broken individual. So even her marriage is false. I've always took the implication that those two fellas run off together and live very happily ever after.
That's the idea.
Without the nagging pink one.
They really got their value for money out of those cyber guns, though, didn't they, in this series?
Yes.
Oh, yeah.
Just spray them up, use them again. There we are.
So now we talked about how dark it is. It's probably a great time to remind you that it is my son's favourite of the 7th Doctor era.
Oh, really?
It's the Happiness Patrol. Yeah.
I love that. What?
I don't know. He just loves it. And he was really upset when we couldn't get to the BFI thing to see it, because I obviously told him it was on. But yeah, I think he just really likes it. I think he likes the Candyman, and yeah, that and Silver Nemesis, 2 favourites.
You see, and how old's your lad?
10 now, but he was 9 when he watched them.
Right. See, isn't that amazing? Who viewers?
The perfect age to like it as well. That's really good. Yeah. But he's hooked now, Phil. He's hooked now. That's it from now on. You know?
I think I'd bored you with it before, but during the fight scene in Silver Nemesis, when you've got the Nazis and the Cybermen outside the hangar thing, and they're shooting at each other, he went, "Dad, this is brilliant."
Yeah, I did the same. Yeah. So
it is great.
Dougie's being naughty in the chat. Look at this. If it had been you, who McCoy would have burst into song singing the Candyman song.
Well, he does sing a little bit in this.
He's a little warble.
Yeah. But Frank Sinatra there. Yeah.
And Pete Harrington says Happiness Patrol is so underrated. It works for me. And was Fifi Dennis Thatcher? People don't get that. I mean, the Happiness Patrol is getting a sort of renaissance right now, for probably all the wrong reasons, but it is there. People are talking about it more. They're producing merchandise for it. Some bizarre stuff out there, but it's people don't understand. I don't think they get that. Helen A is there, and then there's the poor trodden husband. Now, if you weren't around at the time, watching our Prime Minister there with this poor fella following her everywhere she went. And just,
Do you remember a spitting image? They had him with a gin all the time in the background.
that's right, yeah. With the Queen Mother.
Along with the Queen Mother, yeah.
Yeah, sounding like Beryl Reid. That was superb. Yeah, really good.
She did sound like Beryl Reid, didn't she? Roll out the barrel. Oh,
I'm 86, you know. Yeah.
What?
Putting a bet on the horses.
I know, it's so funny. But
Yeah,
this is the entertainment we got. Hey?
Which year was it? It was like in the last 10 years, and they had Andrew Cartmel on Newsnight talking about the Happiness Patrol.
Yeah,
It had gone into the news about it being based on Thatcher, hadn't it? It had sort of like surfaced again.
Yeah.
And
Like
here
they
we are
haven't picked
again.
up on it. Yeah.
Yeah. And of course, it's always the Happiness Patrol that they go back to, as they did at the BFI, to say Doctor Who has always been political. And we talked about that on our headline show on Sunday. It's a totally different beast, though, to what's being peddled out by television producers today. It's actually quite clever in a sense, because if you want to get what it's telling you, you can. If you don't want to get it, if it goes over your head, it doesn't matter. You know, because you've got those two bits. It's just that at the time we would have all known what was going on. I remember, again, student friends I was watching with were loving it. They were loving this. They were loving the Helen A character. They were loving the Candyman. They were loving the Pipe People. It was a joy to be there at the time. Happiness Patrol's like Paradise Towers, very bright but concealing dark storylines. And Chris Lawley is saying to us, Happiness Patrol loved the dark story, though the ending was, I don't know. Okay, yeah. And Dalek Eye, this was an evil, tricky woo. Very Orwellian, says Julianne Goodwin. Nice to see you, Julianne.
Yeah.
It is, isn't it, actually? Yeah. It's a great way to say that, Julianne. It really is.
Very 2024.
Yeah. Oh, gosh. Pete has just reminded me of somebody I shouldn't forget, but I do. John Normington trying to take a census.
Of course.
Oh, yeah.
Why do I forget John Normington is in this? Because it's always about Sheila Hancock. And here's John Normington coming back after that stellar performance in 1984 in Caves.
Yeah.
And here he is. And this time, wonderfully done. So subtle, isn't it? Again, he's just like, the typical bureaucrat.
Yeah.
It's a great I can't believe I forget about it. I must go back and watch this at some point. We'll put it into the reviews at some point, and we'll all watch it and come back and talk about it properly.
It's a really interesting cast in this. Like Ronald Fraser, who plays Helen A's husband, is an inspired choice, because normally he plays like criminals or dodgy characters, that kind of thing, but he's a great actor and a really nice contrast. He's playing it really kind of henpecked a bit, which is really quite funny,
Yeah. Lex is asking us, do you think Happiness Patrol feels like a kid's version of Hammer Horror? No, I think it feels like Doctor Who, personally. I mean, we've had some decent when you compare it to some of the proper horror we had during Tom's time, this is not in that league.
No.
This is something different.
Yeah, I get a comparison, though.
I can understand where you're coming from, because it has that, as I say, it's got that suspense underneath it. There is that horrible story about, if you're not happy, you're getting chopped.
It's also got a very kind of fairy tale-y Hansel and Gretel feel about it. You know what I mean?
Yes, very much so.
Yeah.
I think
just
making something every day, like the Sweet Man, making confectionery the baddie is great for kids.
Yeah, it's
and great
like
for parents.
confectionery plastic coming to life kind of idea, isn't it? Same kind of idea.
Yeah.
But also going back to the cast, people that are playing the Happiness Patrol, you've got Leslie Dunlop, Daisy Kay and Priscilla P, some really, really good actors that just get it.
Yeah. And play it as such as well. They're very genuine in their performances, aren't they? They're not sending it up in any way. They just understand what this script is, and they play that, And again, that ending though, where they're all going around now with they're all like, they can relax and reveal their true selves now. Oh no, it's that time. No, thank you very much.
I shout out for Harold Innocent as well. He's superb in this. He's so funny. Don't you think?
Cool. Oh, and Cy Town, who's killed by the strawberry fondant surprise.
In the first few minutes.
More commonly seen in a Dalek or not seen in a Dalek.
Not seen in a Dalek, yeah.
Yeah.
Pete's saying to us, now the message is so in your face, no holds barred, but then it was built into a story. If you got all good and well, if not, it's still a great tale. Yeah, because, you know,
Exactly.
I know people that watched Happiness Patrol at the time, and it did go over their heads. It went over mine as an 18-year-old, some of it. As I say, each time I watch it now, I get a bit more. I was just enjoying it for what it was, thinking, okay, this is where we're going. This is where we're heading. Oh, look, there's Sheila Hancock. Oh, I know what she's doing. Ha, ha, ha. You know. Yeah, I know what you mean, Pete. It's great.
If you compare the Happiness Patrol to Orphan, what was it, 55?
Mm-hmm.
You know,
I've never seen it. Sorry.
Yeah.
You know, where the whole thing, the whole plot is based on the message that they're trying to put across to you. Whereas the Happiness Patrol, it's about the idea of the planet where you can't be sad.
Yeah.
You know, it's not. Yes, it's parodying Thatcher and all that sort of thing, but like the idea works on its own. In Orphan 55, it's all about the Earth has turned terrible because we've polluted it so badly. Like that's all.
Oh, I see.
Episode is. It's like there's a massive difference between trying to achieve the same sort of storytelling.
Yeah, I mean that was the beauty of Original Who, and I've said it many times as well. You know, we've got this one, the Happiness Patrol. It's not Earth. It's got those elements where people may think, "Oh, it's not. It's a different planet." That's how you do it. That's called science fiction.
Yeah.
You can take your issues you want to, put it in on a different planet, and you can get away with certain things because it's not Earth. You're not preaching. You know,
but it's still entertaining as a show. It's not, you know, it's not in your face. You know.
Yeah. Yeah, and I hope people that are actually going to Happiness Patrol. This is actually the other point. Yeah, we were talking about the iPlayer figures. I reckon Happiness Patrol would have gone up now because these youngsters on their crusades, the minority that we don't talk about, they are going back to watch the Happiness Patrol just because of the bloody pink police box in it. But I'm hoping that they're looking at it with some degree of intelligence. And actually, I know I'm asking for too much. But wouldn't it be lovely if they watch this as the 3 episodes, stop banging the drum, come and join us, come and join us. I know none of that. And
that's the Salvation Army, that one.
I know, that's what I'm saying. That's what I'm saying. The words are still the same as come and join us. They're recruiting on the left, right,
yeah.
But here you've got this whole thing. If they just watched the Happiness Patrol and listened to what it's saying and looked at the story, maybe they'd learn something.
Yeah.
Because a lot of them are the ladies with the thumb guns. If you know what I'm saying, you know,
the Killjoys. Oh, they're the Killjoys, aren't they? Really, to be honest, yeah.
Well, I think we'd be the Killjoys in the society there.
But from our point of view, they're the Killjoys, aren't they? That I would say. But,
but that, I mean, that's what I'm thinking about that. But I actually, we'll look at this again, everyone. And we'll do it as a Who's Reviews in the next year. We'll do that. We'll come back and look at the Happiness Patrol. And I think we'll do it after everybody's had the chance to look at the new version as well, and we can do a contrast in that, and I'll see if I can get it as well into all that. I don't know anything about what this episode is, everybody, so it's not Earl than 55 is not worthy of being mentioned in the same breath, so you can all go and stand in the corner, you lot. And Kirsty is saying to us here, nice to see you, Kirsty, thanks for being in the chat. Alas got a pink TARDIS tattooed recently. Why?
Is that a friend of yours that's done it? Is it?
Why?
On which cheek?
Yeah, Pete's mentioning a good point here.
A little bit bigger on the no. Go on,
blue is sad, pink is to brighten it up. It's a false society, a false fake society. That's the whole thing about it, isn't it? The whole thing about that's why they paint it pink, to fit in, because you can't be blue.
Yeah.
I think some of these. Anyway, I would love them to go and actually.
I will be interested to see on these sets we have behind the sofa what reactions we'll get from Janet Fielding and people like that in regard to this particular story. It'll be interesting to see.
Should be more interested in how many hairdos or costumes Sophie Aldred has throughout the season, surely.
Probably, yeah. She's not changed at all, I don't think. Yeah.
I love those behind the sofas. They're one of the first things I go to, guys.
Yeah.
To watch, because I like seeing what the players out of the other series make of the ones they're looking at here. I love Peter Davison.
Yeah.
And sometimes looks at things in absolute horror.
Yeah.
I love it when he does that. And he goes, "What is this?" I love all that. Oh, I think dropping. But yeah, I love all that. So Behind the Sofa is definitely something I'm going to be looking at.
I don't think Peter's on this set. I don't think, is he? I think it's.
I hope he is.
Only Sylvester's only Doctor on it, I think, isn't he? Or maybe Colin as well. I don't know.
Well, when BBC Studios eventually get around to re-releasing things on standard editions again, I'll watch it. I'll be watching this because this one's going to be about 4 or 5 years down the way there, I think.
There's also a lovely interview with Sophie interviewing Leslie Dunlop on this. Looks quite fun as well.
Oh,
I watched the trailer before I came on just to remind myself.
Oh, sorry, go on.
Sorry, Paul. Shout out for the guy playing the harmonica. Cannot remember his name.
No, I can't either, actually. I can't.
Integral to it, though, at the end, playing the music through the PA, playing the blues.
Oh, I know Courtney Pine is in Silver Nemesis.
Silver Nemesis, yeah. So I can't remember who this guy was, but I can't remember. Classic Who writers always more nuanced than New Who, with superior story structures and characterization, says Julianne. Here, I love that. Yeah. And it does come out in season 25 because they really have to push out all the stops to do this because they were getting no support at all, no money at all. So they really had to go for the creative side of it while still being entertaining. And I think that's why season 25 is successful in my eyes. And Mark is saying to us, I forgot the wonderful Georgina Hale is in the Happiness Patrol too. Yeah. She was everywhere at the time as well, wasn't she? I remember her being in various dramas and comedies and cropping up a lot. Georgina Hale.
Teabag? Sorry? Wasn't she Teabag in the Teabag TV kids show?
No idea. That's after my time.
You say Teabag, I think of a unit stage play.
Before my time.
Yeah. So here we are. Welcome to Whose Views. We are on our season overview series. We are currently looking at season 25 and appreciating it all these years later as we prepare for the release of season 25 on the Blu-ray limited edition box sets. Have you got your order in? There you go. We are, of course, talking about the 4 stories that are involved. Remembrance of the Daleks, the Happiness Patrol, Silver Nemesis, and yes, the Greatest Show in the Galaxy. And moving on to Silver Nemesis, new effects for the cyber ships on the Blu-ray.
Yeah, they look nice.
They remind me of a comic strip version of the cyber ships, though.
I like though.
That's a nice shot.
I like a lot.
I like them, but they do remind me more of sort of what possibly the Doctor Who Weekly would have come up for the cyber ships. I do like them though. Don't get me wrong. I do like them. I'm interested to see how they look because one of these things lands.
Yeah, I agree with what Ben Weir said. If they had like classic like invasion style, because they did that, I think in Good Man Goes to War. I think there's a couple of shots in that. They've got invasion cyber ships that look really, really good. It's a shame that they put them in this, but they look really nice, I have to say.
Yeah, they do.
This is one of my favorites. I love Silver Nemesis. I don't know why it gets so much heat. I don't know if anyone can tell me why. People don't like the story very much. I don't know why.
Why? I don't understand that.
And the fact there's 4 versions on this, I can't get enough.
At the moment, there are 4 versions. There could be more coming. Who knows?
Because apparently there's an original version. There's a new version with of the original with special effects on it. There's the VHS version and an omnibus version as well, which is based on the 70s omnibus timings, I think. Apparently.
Oh.
I don't know which one I watched first.
I don't know.
New effects.
New effects.
Like classic format.
Yeah.
I've made the decision for you.
Thank you. Good.
Earl Sigma played by John D. Sharp, Ian, says Steve Hindley.
To say he was a musician having a name where his surname's D Sharp is fantastic, I think.
I think that was probably but Just Jordan's also saying it's Richard. Was it Richard D. Sharp? But no, it was John D. Sharp, was it? I don't know. Andy's Vinyl. What do you think of BBC Studios describing the season 25 special editions as being very special with surprises? Not sure what to make of that.
I really like that.
Yeah. See, to me, it doesn't matter because it's all sales pitch. So it's a way of getting you to buy it. That's all it is. But Doctor Who fans, we don't need big glamorous spiel like that. I mean, I've said this since the VHS has started to appear. You know, we don't need all this big, wonderful, blah, 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 blah. Just sell it because we're going to buy it anyway. We don't care what you say. We're going to buy it. Don't worry. It's a sure thing, as somebody once said to me.
I just checked the program guide. He's credited as Richard Sharp, but there we go.
There we go.
I'm such a nerd. Yeah.
Yeah, so you don't like that though, that being very special with surprises, Phil.
I don't know. Something about surprises makes me feel that they're going to have edited Jodie Whittaker into the end or something. that's Shooty's going to come in.
Shooty's going to be in it. Yeah.
And just,
Oh no! Can you imagine?
Because
what
Silver
Nemesis
Nemesis is
surprises
the
me today.
25th anniversary special. They'll all be in it. That'll be it.
Oh dear! Can you
Can
imagine?
all
the
be
amount
on
of-
one of the cyber ships.
Sorry.
The ones that get blown up. Yes, of course. Yeah.
Yeah, they can be on one of the cyber ships. Yeah, just
Yeah.
at the end, waving out the window as it just beautiful.
Tony Farrell's joined us. Hello, Tony. It's nice to see you, mate. Hope you are well. And he said about the cyber ships, they look better than the hose-lock lawn sprayers used in the original.
Fair.
I don't think they were too bad, apart from the fact you see the helicopter blades of the thing they were carrying it with. But yeah.
Oh, look, do you know what? They were ambitious. They were
Yeah,
ambitious.
yeah.
Yeah, they did it with Delta as well, didn't they? The trees actually wave in the wind and
Yeah.
all this because,
Yeah,
you know, I
But
love
that shot, that
It was
end of
stupid.
episode 1 when the cyber ship arrives at the end of episode 1, that's superb. What a great
Yeah.
It is
shot.
superb.
great. It's
Yeah,
a
it's
great
really
ending
good.
of an episode.
Chris Clough is a really good director, I have to say.
Well, he's gone on to some fantastic stuff, as we know
Yeah.
now. But I'm going to
Yeah.
say it again. He's had a huge hit this year with Mr. Bates versus the Post Office. Well done, Mr. Clough. And that was beautifully done. Beautifully done. Those new retro cyber ships remind me of the fleet of cyber ships in The Invasion, says Stephen Braddock. Maybe they're trying with the special editions to bring them together a little bit more, a bit more continuity. I don't know. And Dalek Eye is saying, I quite like this story, despite the criticism it received. I remember there being criticism at the time, but Paul, you're saying it's still
Well,
going
it's
on?
funny. I remember one of the it might have been the Seventh Doctor Handbook. I think it describes it as silly Nemesis. I think it was called.
Ah,
I love this probably because I'm a massive Cyberman fan. I think the Cybermen in this are a bit weak, obviously. You know, if they played Spandau Ballet, they'd be in real trouble.
yeah.
But it's kind of it is really they're a bit weak in this, but they look superb.
Yeah.
And the idea of the Fourth Reich and the Cybermen together is a great idea. Superb. Yeah.
What I like about Silver Nemesis, says Lex, is time travel. German villains remind me of a Bond villain and a twist of sci-fi with Cybermen. It's an excellent story. Again, at the time, I just remember thinking this was fresh, and it was wonderful seeing this fella.
Yeah, Anton Diffring, superb. Yeah.
Doing what he did best. I mean, the guy made a fortune out of being typecast.
Oh God, yes, yeah.
But I mean, you do get that element. I quite like the fact there's this element of Anton's performance here where he's going, what am I in? What is this, love? What am I doing? Because it comes out with the character. When the character sees the Cyberman, that's him going, what?
Man, what actually is this?
Well, yeah. Where am I, love?
Call my agent. Yeah.
I love that though. It's really, really good, and I just think it's wonderful to have. I mean, another one. I mean, JNT must have been delighted with this. Another name into Doctor Who.
But he's perfect for this, isn't he? He really is. You know,
He's absolutely perfect for it. You couldn't have probably got a better actor for that role. But shout right at the very start, first scene and first episode outside the villa in South America.
with the parrot.
But in the background you can see the mountain and everything. I think even that is done really, really well. You know,
with the BBC microcomputer as well. Yeah.
Well, yeah. But like you said, JT, they had about 50p to do it. But by God, they got the money's worth.
They certainly did, yeah.
They really did, because of course the budget had been reduced as well at this point, hadn't it? Allegedly, you know, because it was. Well, anyway, we won't go into all that stuff because we're supposed to be being happy about all this. But Steve is saying to us, I think the bad reviews started later on, and I think it's great. That's good. That's really good.
I mean, it is a complete rehash of Remembrance, but it's still a good fun, I think.
I remember at the time having the two authors together. There was Ben and and Kevin, and they were both saying they had no idea what the other was writing. So maybe Andrew should have done something about that at the time as well, because they are very, very similar stories.
I think it had been a longer season, and it might have been easy to hide it more because it's such a small season, a short season. It's so obvious. It's a very similar sort of idea, isn't it?
Yeah, absolutely. Yeah,
they are, but there are very different ideas, and you know, I do love Silver Nemesis, but I will acknowledge it's the weakest of the four. But the idea, you've got so many elements. You've got Lady Painfort and Richard. You've got, you know, I mean, they're a great combination.
Yeah.
who
They're
are,
almost a Holmes combination, aren't they, Bedweer? You know, you've got this classic sort of traditional duo that we know in Doctor Who. We've had, you know, all sorts of the most latest before this would have been Glitz and Dibber, I guess.
yeah.
And now
Yeah.
you've got these two coming again. I mean, there is a sort of lovely, innocent, comedic value being done to it. There's this Lady Pinkford trying to be, look at me, I'm really nasty, and I know who the Doctor is. And then you've got Richard stumbling along and going, oh, I think you're lovely.
Yeah, and you know when she loses it,
Big time.
and she's just, you know, sat on that bench in the bus station, just gently rocking and saying that everything is going to be, you know, that's fantastic. On the flip side of that, you've then got Heather Flores and Carl. So you've got another pairing. You've then got the Cybermen and, you know, the Cyber Leader, Cyber Lieutenant conversations all the way through as well, and then you've got the Doctor and Ace. So you've got all these four pairs all working towards the same thing. And I just remember the Nemesis statue being in the the Llangollen exhibition, and you know, I assume it's still in BBC storage, because it's never gone on public sale, so it must still be in storage somewhere.
Well, they've got to dig it out, haven't they? Come on.
And just that whole idea of this living statue, long before we had Weeping Angels, because it was a living form of metal.
Yeah.
Like, that's a great idea.
Another Time Lord Gizmo.
Yeah.
Yeah. And I get that it's, you know, okay, it's a rehash of the Hand of Omega, but
it wasn't. I love the magic of it, Bidwig, because it was parallel writing. They hadn't actually spoken to each other. It was just magic at the time. You know, two similar ideas, but two different people putting them together. It just happened.
Did they not kind of package that a little bit and call it unfinished business? So the Doctor had to deal with the Daleks and the Cybermen, and although he does it in a similar way, that was an idea of the Doctor kind of moving on a little bit, wasn't it?
That came along a little bit, because I remember at the time thinking, "Oh, that's them gone. You can't take the Daleks or the Cybermen out of Doctor Who. What's going?" But we never knew. We never knew. 'Cause actually, when you think about it, this was the last time they were ever seen.
Yeah.
You know, for years and years and years. We know where we're going, but this was it. So you know, it was a case of like, oh, do you remember in the Wilderness years, people were saying he got rid of them. The Doctor won his battles with the Daleks and Cybermen. Do you remember? People say, no, that was it, because it's off air now. So he won. He got rid of the entire thing. And I was just like, oh, that's quite upsetting.
But then we had the final end of the Daleks in Evil of the Daleks, didn't we?
And they came back.
They had
after
many
that,
finals.
And look at the Master, he's always
found
coming back every other week, wasn't he? So it doesn't really matter, does it?
I always found it very difficult to believe that a spacefaring race like the Daleks would all of a sudden at one point just all be on the same planet that got wiped out. It just it wouldn't happen. But Bedwee, you were talking about pairings. There was the two skinheads as well.
Oh yeah.
Briefly, comic relief. You know, being so hard.
Yeah. What are you, social workers? Yeah.
Yeah.
I don't know why they were allowed in Windsor, but there we go.
Yeah.
So 80s. Yeah, so 80s, that whole thing, isn't it? With the skinhead image. So
I love
80s.
the fact though that what's his name, and they string them up from a tree. That is brilliant. Really is good.
Yeah.
Don't mess with people from that part of history.
Exactly.
They're quite violent, and they have no scruples. They will skin you alive if you ever bump into them. Anyway, we're science fiction fans. It could happen. I love that what Raymond was just saying to us there. I love the Blue Ford Transit. That must have stretched the budget. Yeah. And Mike Disney saying to us, I really like Silver Nemesis on watching recently as a 22-year-old. I didn't think much of it at all.
Oh, I loved it. Yeah.
It's absolutely not the weakest of the season, Bedway. I have to take umbrage at that.
What's weaker than Silver Nemesis? Which of the four is weaker?
You're wearing a T-shirt with it.
Really? Okay.
I'm kind of with you on that, Phil. I have to say, because I'm not that keen on Great Show in the Galaxy. I have to say, some nice bits in it, but as a story, it bores me to death.
There's some scenes, but then there's some really embarrassing stuff in it. Like, there's bits that I kind of cringe at. But then there's some magic, but it's too much cringe. I would watch Silver Nemesis all day long. It's probably my favorite of the season.
And
there you go.
Yeah.
Is Stephen right here? Is it true Peter Cushing was asked first before Anton? I don't remember hearing that one actually, Stephen, at all. I don't know. And hello to Mr. Ford 4210. Filmed in Goring by Sea, West Sussex. Yep. Yeah, but it's nice to see you, Mr. 44210. Thank you very much for that. Goring by Sea. I went there once. I don't know. It was nothing to do with Doctor Who, and I can't remember what I was there for. But I wish I'd known that because I would have gone to look at it. And Anton Differing was great, says Andy's Vinyl. Apparently, he only agreed to do it so he could watch Wimbledon. Yeah, that's apparently that's true.
Yeah.
It fitted in nicely with his Wimbledon thing. So I quite like that. Yeah, I'll just do it, lad. Yeah, just get me tickets, will you?
And all that location work is where the O2 in London now is.
Oh, don't.
Yeah.
It's true. Where all that is now. Yeah, where all that, the hangars and stuff. You're right. Yeah, it's where the O2 and a housing estate is now. It's now called North Greenwich. It probably was back then as well, but there's a station and everything. And I remember years and years ago, I don't know if I told this story. I remember years ago when I lived in London, going to look at new houses that were just opening up on that very land. And all I could think of at the time was, this is where the Cybermen were. Oh, that's where the TARDIS must have been over there. And just thinking, oh, look, it's totally different now, but it's still there.
There's a bit that gets me in this story, though, that really makes me laugh. There's a bit in the cafe. I think it's when Lady Painfort and that they arrive in the cafe. And they're both screaming their heads off, and the people in the cafe don't even blink at them. Just go, it's just really weird. It's like
every day.
Yeah,
true. Yeah,
that's why Kubrick filmed Full Metal Jacket, isn't it? On that same plot of derelict land, I think.
Oh, parts of it apparently, yes. Yeah. Which is you would.
Yeah.
I mean,
when you look at pairings, there was the two Cybermen agents as well with the headphones.
But it's all pairings now, isn't it? We're all going to go back and watch it.
When you start thinking about it.
Yeah. I've forgotten about all this. I've also forgotten that Leslie French is in this. Thanks to Steve for reminding me. The poor mathematician Leslie French played the lab attendant in The Living Daylights. Leslie
almost
French,
the first Doctor. There we go.
Yeah, but he was another actor that was around and about at the time. And I've always thought as well, haven't forgotten about it, but years ago when we were talking about Leslie French, as you've just said there, Paul, was this JNT making a nice little nod that it could have started with him? Who knows? I don't know. I wish I'd asked him.
Well, if you believe the facts in Adventure Space and Time, I think he gave the production office a polite no, which means he probably swore at them. But
the Queen is in it too. Well,
good point.
Yes, Nicholas Courtney
some lovely
is in the group scenes.
Yeah.
Wasn't Prince Edward asked to be in this? Is that
yes.
a true story or not? Yeah.
That is a true story. That is a true story, and you can hear you can read John talking about it in various things, and so he loved all that, didn't he? Oh, well, he's in showbiz now, love. Just ask him. Just ask him. God, he was a right. He was a right.
Recovered from that. It's a knockout, didn't he?
Yeah. Well,
Yes. Yeah.
Didn't the author of Silver Nemesis, that's Kevin Clark, say to JNT that he thought the Doctor was a god? Well, apparently Kevin Clark has confirmed that recently by saying that in his head the Doctor was a god and JNT wasn't having any of it.
Yeah.
So take that, 2005 onwards, people.
I've heard different versions of that. One, he only seems to have come up with this about 10 years after he wrote the thing.
Right.
And I thought the conversation was with Andrew Cartmel, and Cartmel said, just don't tell JNT that that's what you're doing.
Right.
Yes, Cartmel has said this a lot, including in his wonderful book, Script Editor. He would say things like, just don't, you go with that, but don't tell anybody about it.
Don't tell John that's what you're doing, because John would have freaked out.
Yeah, definitely, because he didn't want anything like that, and he didn't want the origins of the Doctor explained. Good for him.
He was very wise.
He was very, very wise. It's called Doctor Who for a reason.
Yeah.
Courtney Pine was good to see in Silver Nemesis with Mike Disney. Absolutely. Oh, and look, Dalek Eye saying I have to agree. Silver Nemesis over The Greatest Show. There you go. So
sensible man. Yep.
Yeah, there we go.
Sorry, Bedweir. Sorry. Yeah.
Steve has also given some appreciation for Lady Painfort and her assistant Richard Branson.
Richard Branson. He makes the pickles, doesn't he? That's right, isn't it?
Yeah. Now, I'm glad you mentioned that, Bedweir, because you've just reminded me. I saw that Silver Nemesis prop, and I could not remember where it was. So it was Llangollen, was it?
Yeah, it was definitely in Llangollen. It probably was in Blackpool too as well.
I have seen it. I've seen it twice, and I've been to both of those. Phil, we went to Llangollen. Do you remember seeing it there?
Well, I'm just thinking when I get home, I'm going to go up the loft and find my photos.
Oh, don't.
Bring them on the show.
Because it was, and they did. It wasn't glowing as such, but it was sort of. I remember seeing it not to its full advantage in the light. Because I was expecting it to look like that when I saw it, and it was nothing like that. It was sort of toned down an awful lot.
Wasn't the coatings that they gave the Cybermen and the bow and the arrow and the statue? The coating there was designed to react to something in camera, wasn't it, rather than the actual light?
Like Bilal. Yeah.
So I suppose if you're seeing it in real life, it's not going to have the same kind of hue to it, is it?
No. So it was like a grey paint that was quite reflective when you had a particular light shining towards it.
Yeah,
but that's why in the exhibition it was grey, not bright.
I would have thought they would have lit it properly though, because I remember thinking, it should be brighter. But I can't remember.
I think they kept the light.
Yeah.
It explains in the documentary, I think, how they did it. There's a technician talking about it worked, I think, in the American documentary. I
want to say frontaxial projection. Is that right?
That's the one. Yeah.
That's it. There we go.
Which I learned from the Silver Nemesis video.
Yeah.
However many years ago that was.
I've only seen that American documentary a couple of times because, of course, there's nothing to play a VHS on now.
It's really good. Really good.
I remember quite enjoying it and thinking, what a shame they never actually put it onto BBC Two or anything like that back in the day, because I think people would have been quite informed by it. I mean, but I'm looking forward to seeing that again because it's included on this box set, isn't it? Just before we talk a bit more, let me just go through it. This, you probably all know what's on this, but this is Doctor Who The Collection Season 25, which is coming out very shortly. It's got, as we say, it's got special edition versions of Remembrance of the Daleks, Happiness Patrol, Silver Nemesis, and The Greatest Show in the Galaxy, as well as the original versions. Yeah, you get the original versions too, so it's important that we say that. But it does have all the updated special effects we sort of talked about now. It's got Behind the Sofa, and I've just looked it up, Paul. It's got Sylvester McCoy, Sophie Aldred, Bonnie Langford, Nicola Bryant, Wendy Padbury, Janet Fielding, Sarah Studden, Dame Sheila Hancock, Jessica Martin, Karen Gledhill, and Mark Hardy on Behind the Sofa.
Oh, that's nice. That's good. Some new faces on it, which is nice. That's good.
Yeah. You've got In Conversation, 3 new episodes with Sophie Aldred, Andrew Cartmel, and Chris Clough. Looking for Dursley, which is a documentary about Dursley McClendon, who played Mike in Remembrance. You've got The Making of Doctor Who, which was that one we've just been talking about here, the American version that they're making of, which was only available on VHS up until now. You've got the extended VHS version of Silver Nemesis, a special edition omnibus version of Silver Nemesis, which is a special cut-down feature-length version of this adventure in the tradition of the 1970s Christmas repeats.
Yeah. Which is a weird thing to do if you've already got 3 other versions of it, but that's fine.
Then you've got
3 copies, so he's got 12 versions, hasn't he?
I know, yes.
You'll only watch 4 of them, though. That's how it works, isn't
it? You've got this thing called The Collectors on this, all about the 1980s, where Emily Cook chats to Doctor Who collectors about their 1980s treasures. Didn't speak to me.
Lots of Dapol.
Yeah. Oh, we've got some Doctor Who bubble bath there as well. What else we got? Oh, we've got that awful thing about the Doctor Who escape room thing. I'm not interested in that. When Sophie met Leslie, which I am interested in, Sophie Aldred Leslie Dunlop, her co-star from the Happiness Patrol, who also appeared in Frontios, of course, in 1984, one of my favourites. You've got the Stephen Mansfield interview, studio and location footage, 5.1 surround sound, rare archival material from the BBC Vaults. BBC Vaults, it's a cardboard box these days. Exclusive convention footage, HD photo galleries, info text, PDF archive, plus lots more, i.e. all the stuff that was on all the DVDs. There you go.
One of my favourite features on these is archive materials, anything that's not on the DVDs that's now on it, on the Blu-ray, because sometimes there's lots of little gems that pop up. I think on season 9 there's a fantastic exhibition clip from 72, which is on there that wasn't on any of the season 9 stories. So when stuff like that pops up, that's really interesting for me. I look at all that old telly, archive telly is brilliant.
Yeah. Well, it is, isn't it? And it's amazing that they kept as much as they ever did.
Yeah, I've got more of that than the actual episodes, obviously.
Yeah.
But
Well, yeah. Honestly, I mean, you can even get the time clocks now, can't you?
Yeah.
I mean, what?
And how many times have you watched them? I've watched them all.
Oh, I know. Oh, gosh. What's this? Chris is saying to us here, pronounced that. It's a shame Bedwy's just gone off to get a drink or something because he'd be able to say that.
Yeah, he'd be able to do that. Yeah.
Lan Goughlin.
Get
Is
him to
that
do the
right?
station as well when he comes back. Can you do that as well?
And Stephen is saying here, look, I've never seen the Silver Nemesis documentary, so I'm looking forward to seeing that. It'll be nice to see it again. But I remember on the VHS, it was quite cloudy as well because it was.
Yeah.
It's probably tarted up now, isn't it? And it'd probably be a little bit more because I hated that American grainy. Because there was two differences. American television, you could always tell it was an American television on our channels.
Yeah, so NTSC stuff. Yeah.
Yeah, it was always slightly grainy. It's quite annoying when you're watching Cagney and Lacey. I was like, oh, please. But, it's a case of like, loved it. Love Cagney and Lacey.
It's a bit like some of those old Pertwees that turned up and they had to convert them and they've got that slightly grainy quality,
so
even when they're cleaned up.
Did they not have a different number of lines as well?
Yeah. All that
They
sort of
had
stuff.
more lines.
Yeah. It doesn't work that way anymore now with all the 4 HD and all that. So I think it's all the same now, isn't it? What's
on
Raymond
that
saying?
documentary? I might be misremembering, but I swear there was a bit where there's the director's like running around and he's got the Cybermen there with his guns and he's saying like, oh, in post-production we're going to add big balls of energy coming out of the guns or something like that. And then when you watch it, it's just the standard kind of concentric circles.
But the battle sequences I've said already are really good, Phil, as you said. I'm with Teddy on that. They're really, really good. And I think that it looks like big budget stuff. The thing that makes me laugh is the cyber guns. I swear they have like on the top of it, it's like a squashy cream top on the top of it. If you look at it closely, you'll see what I mean.
I have to watch it. I'm gonna watch it on the way home.
That was so Chris Clough would have been saying, oh yeah, and we're going to do this and this and this, and then he went back and they're going, no, you're not, mate.
No, I've got this blue circles effect. You can have that.
Here's your 5 pence change. There you go. Don't talk, just get on with it. Yeah. Hi, Legion of James. What have I missed? You've missed a fabulously cracking show. We are appreciating season 25 here tonight as part of our season overviews. And Pete's asking us, is the documentary on the Blu-ray missing off the DVD or wasn't I paying attention? No, they didn't put it on the DVD, did they? Which I was shocked about.
Yeah.
I was totally shocked that they didn't put it on the DVD. I don't know what went on there. Very, very shame. Bedwyr, can you say that for us, please?
Llangollen.
It just rolls off the tongue, doesn't it?
It does.
It's for him. It's not fair.
He's like a native. It's incredible. Really good.
Oh, and Steve's asking a great question here. Steve Henley. I wonder if it makes any difference to the season that Silver Nemesis should have been the final story broadcast. Only in the fact that they got Ace's jewelry the wrong way. That's the problem with continuity, isn't it? When you're trying to be clever, if you have to change things like J&T had to do to fit it into around the BBC's plans, which didn't include Doctor Who at all. Yeah, you do get those little bits messed up.
Because he wanted it to be on the anniversary, didn't he? That's why it was broadcast the way it was, wasn't it?
Yeah,
it's something to do with all that, wasn't it? Yeah, and it's a shame, really. But had Silver Nemesis gone out last, he would have ended on that.
I think I asked you this question before on the DVD, and it was on the telly. There's a fantastic trailer for this story, Silver Nemesis, but it starts off really bizarrely with it's the 25th anniversary, but they show a clip of the web planet with Hartnell communicating with Azarbi, and then it goes into the clip from Silver Nemesis. It's really, really weird. Does anyone remember that?
No, not at all.
Because it's on the DVD.
Long. Yeah, been far too long. Hi guys, what about the portrait of Ace? Was that story for Big Finish? Says Nathan Huggins. Well, I'm surprised Bog Fanish haven't done it already. If they haven't already, they haven't done it,
they haven't, as far as I'm aware. Yeah,
have they not?
No.
How odd. And
Bedwyr
says, Steve Henley, I think that the later broadcasting of season 12 helped the ratings, which had been terrible in September for the season 23, 24, and 26. This probably gave us season 26.
They were up slightly. They were up a little bit. Yeah, I mean, it's difficult because season 24 was season 24. So, yeah.
Well, there would have been. I mean, but this season did get a lot of publicity because it was the 25th anniversary. So they were pushing it slightly. I think Blue Peter gave it some coverage as well. Good old Blue Peter.
And Pebble Mill did one as well, didn't they? I think so. Yeah.
They launched the Doctor Who exhibition at Tooley Street at Space Adventure. You know,
I forgot about that. Yeah, of course
tie
they
in with
did.
it as well. So
Yeah,
there's a bit of promotion about it. So
yeah. And people would have been in. I mean, you've got the Daleks and the Cybermen. That's the one advantage, and of a truncated series as well. But they were really pushing all these people. I remember seeing some sort of trailer with Sheila Hancock in it and Anton Diffring in it and the Cybermen and the Daleks in it for season 25. Or maybe I've got that from the DVD. I love the old vintage teleclips too. Doctor Who magazine used to print the full content list prior to release, but I think they've stopped doing that with the season 15 sets as Andy's vinyl. Couldn't tell you. Don't look at it anymore.
Because I know sometimes what they have done with the Blu-ray and with the DVDs, they've moved them around so that they fit to whichever release is meant to be on. So if a John Pertwee thing was on season 10, but it should have been on season 9, they'll have moved it to a different box set, apparently.
Oh, right. Okay.
yeah, it's a bit of that.
Because everyone's OCD, you understand, don't you? So that's
Yes. Well, yeah. I'm fussy. Yeah. Silver Nemesis and Remembrance were McCoy's best, says Domgo. Season 26 never reached those heights.
No.
I have to disagree with that, I have to say. But
Yeah. Season 26 is free of the trappings of Daleks and Cybermen.
Yeah.
To its
Season
detriment.
26 is setting the scene for season 27, which, as we all know, did not happen. It didn't. It's as though season 25 is doing that thing of, it's the silver anniversary. We've got to have that. It's the last hurrah. We're getting rid of the Daleks. We're getting rid of the Cybermen. They're not coming back for a little while. Bang, here we go. There is but again, as I said at the top of the show, completely different. 24 is so different to 25, and they're both different to 26.
Yeah.
It's incredible, really, isn't it? When
I've always thought, actually, during J&T's tenure from 18 to 26, it feels like the different showrunners doing it, even though he did all of it. It's really weird,
Well, yeah.
It shows he had a range.
Yeah.
Which, you don't get now, do you, really?
No, you just get predictability now, don't you? It's as though they get into a rut and say, well, that works for us, we'll do this. And or if they make a decision, it's a little bit different. At least this way. You see, again, I'm going to say it. Back then, it was all about entertainment.
Yeah.
How do we entertain people? How do we move? How do we develop the show? But how do we entertain people? Was Silver Nemesis made for the anniversary? Asked Chris Lawley. Yes.
Yeah.
That
One good thing as well, there was a couple of years between the Daleks and Cybermen. They weren't in it since season 22, were they? So they had a couple of years off, which is good. So they weren't overused as they are now.
No. But if you're going to have a silver anniversary series for a 25th season, you had to have the Daleks and the Cybermen in it. And it makes it. I remember at the time when they announced through Doctor Who Monthly, the Cybermen were going to be in this thing called Silver Nemesis. It made perfect sense. No, I don't think many of us questioned it because we just went, well, of course, yeah. Who else? What else you could have got? The Silver Giants are coming back.
Yeah.
What do you say, Phil?
The K1 robot was coming back. So
yeah. They were silver, but then they weren't. That caused more of a fuss. Remember those pictures, bro? They had the gold Cybermen, those helmets. And John Nathan Turner and the director and everybody said, don't worry, in the sunshine that we happen to have in Britain at the moment, they look silver. And they did. Don't worry about it. Oh my goodness. The BBC coverage of the Seoul Olympics pushed it back to October. I knew it was something like that, Steve. Thank you for that one. Yeah, it did. And Lex is saying, I did hear something that The Greatest Show of the Galaxy was originally going to be broadcast as the third story, and Silver Nemesis was supposed to be the finale. Yeah, that's right. And then they had to move it all around. Yeah, because as Paul said, Silver Nemesis was supposed to be on the 23rd of November.
Yeah.
Mark is saying to us, Mark Milford, season 25 never went away. Countermeasures team, Gandhiman, the Psychic Circus, they all appeared on Bog Vanish. Any other seasons achieved that? Don't know. Don't listen to them.
Well, they've done Fenric as well, so yeah.
Have they? Oh, please. Oh, my God.
Of course
really?
they have.
Yeah.
Did they bring the Psychic Circus back?
Oh, they did. They brought Mags back as well, so they've done stuff
Mags
with Mags as well. Yeah.
Wow.
In a trilogy,
Yeah.
Now, actually, I do know about that one because, of course, Jimmy Dreyfus is in it as the Master.
That's right. Yeah.
That's the one, isn't it? Yeah, I haven't heard it yet. Sorry, Jim. But there we go. Season 26 only has Fenric. The other three ain't all that, in my opinion, says Dom Go. Fair enough, though. That's absolutely fine.
Yeah, that's fine. Yeah.
Great. If you prefer 25 to 26, nothing wrong with that. Don't you listen to this grumpy lot here. It's absolutely fine with me, Dom Go. You're cool there. Hello, Cute Pyro Zero has joined us. Hiya. Nice to see you. Hope you are well. And Peter's saying to us, yeah, season 26 is great, but maybe Battlefield is the weakest, but still excellent.
I love Battlefield.
We will
Justice for Battlefield, remember?
We will come to look at season 26 at some point, everybody, and you can actually have a look at all that, because we are going to do these season reviews now, these overviews of all of them. What else we got with that? Yeah, so we've gone to that. Now, I just want to say, just Jordan, are you still with us? Because I'm going to give you a little warning, because we're coming to this one now. So, yeah. Is she still there? Is she still with us? Is she still with us? I'm not sure.
That's a great picture, that one. Love that picture.
But we'll just give her a couple of minutes to get ready for this, because here we go then. Greatest show in the galaxy. Now, I have this thing about clowns as well, because I remember seeing something when I was a kid, and it scared me. The clown scared me in it, and then very shortly after, I was taken to this event with these things in it, and I was never the same. So that I'm one of these people that are quite wary of these mimes and all this. I think, firstly, I think get a job, and then secondly, I think, I'm thinking, so that's never gone away. But Greatest Show in the Galaxy managed to capture all that for me in this, and I'm sitting there on those 4 episodes every week with all these other 18, 19, 20-year-olds around me thinking, don't crap yourself.
Don't cry, JT. Don't cry.
Yes, be butch. Ooh.
But Ian Reddington is very scary as a chief clown. He's very good in this.
Ian Reddington nails it. Super. What a performance he does. Just absolutely stunning performance here, isn't it? I mean, this guy is human, whereas the other clowns are robots. Brilliant touch there for Doctor Who, by the way, from Stephen Wyatt, making them robots so anything can happen with them. We all know robots in Doctor Who, don't we? But this guy's human. And at some point you do know, just watch it, mate. They can turn on you. We know robots in this show. They will turn on you, whether you've got a funny face or not. And
that is incredible. That gesture he does,
and he improvised that apparently in rehearsal. What? I mean, come on, because I remember a lot of fans doing that at the time, especially at the conventions. People would go, and I'd go, ugh. Fabulous days on this. But again, this was building on this. So we have to say something about this chap as well before we forget.
Oh, TP McKenna, superb. Yeah.
Another star turn. Each episode. You've got brilliant cast members coming in here, haven't you? You really, and another name. What a performance as well.
I love the fact that his character might be really, really boring, which is a nice touch.
It is for TP McKenna.
Yeah.
And I correct me if I'm wrong, he loves it. He's loving this role.
Yeah.
You can see it through the screen.
Yeah.
I remember at the time, because I was aware of who this man was. Of course, I remember thinking at the time, this is great casting. He's loving this.
And he performs a cliffhanger brilliantly when we get the surprise about what Mags actually is. Is it episode 2 or 3? I can't remember which one it is, but it's a really good cliffhanger where you find out that she's actually a werewolf.
And done brilliantly as well.
Yeah.
The makeup, the cuts, the action, the pace. Before we all knew what that was properly. This was Doctor Who. I mean, bang, bang, bang. What a dramatic scene where she's just boom, boom. They did it brilliant. It wasn't one of these traditional things where it goes into all that sort of stop frame. Or I can carry on screaming where they hide behind the sofa and then pop up again. Boo! This was done proper drama.
I remember genuinely thinking they were going to get into trouble for that.
Oh, did you? Why?
No, just because it was so well done. I thought that would really genuinely terrify a lot of people. Because when they cut to her because she was lit right, those teeth, the eyes, it was just like, whoa, this is good. And I just thought, somebody somewhere in the BBC is probably going to go. But I thought it was fantastic.
Oh, well, I did as well. And again, it was one of those moments where I'm thinking, I hope there's millions and millions watching this, because this is good stuff. This is Doctor Who at its best. The lighting, the makeup, the slethering, and Jessica going, loving it again. Just brilliant. Go on, Bedouin.
No, it's the reaction from Sylv that sells it.
Yeah.
Yeah. He's got that
and
real
when he's trying to avoid her as well, is brilliant. When he's swinging back and forth and stuff. He really shows his physicality in this story, which is really good.
Yeah. Well, it does, and again, it's another thing that he's bringing to his Doctor here. So here's the Doctor, all these years old, centuries old, not quite seen this before. He knows it's dangerous though, and here's it's a transformation that he doesn't like in front of him, and it must, quite horrific, But I think it's even better. And Kirsty, I don't know what you're going to think about this. I think this is better than the transformation of the werewolves in Harry Potter. This whole thing in Greatest Show, I think it's just got that element of absolute.
The bit that makes me laugh, McCoy makes me laugh in this, is a bit when he leaves the big tent and he goes woof to the person as he leaves. That really makes me laugh.
I bet that was a made-up moment. I bet that was
probably was. Yeah, like the crisp bag in Battlefield.
The crisp bag, yeah. A lot of you agreeing for him. Pete saying her makeup, Mags, was scary for its time. Loved it. It was absolutely brilliant. Mike Disney is saying to us, send in the clowns. Oh, but no, but just Jordan saying to us, I am still here, but you'll be glad to know this is where I leave you. Wuss, come back.
Don't have nightmares.
Yeah, I don't have nightmares. And definitely the Joker's
definitely not under your bed.
But for the little ones watching this that could, because those scenes, especially the one where Ace is in that room as well, that's really quite good. And that bus conductor's quite good.
Yeah.
I mean, I love this. John's saying to us, Ian Reddington was great at the clown. It's because of him that when he's in the hearse.
That's a lovely touch, actually. That hearse is a nice idea.
Well, that's straight from a Pet Shop Boys video. It's so surreal. It's unbelievable. The hearse comes up and it's a clown in there. It's just brilliant, isn't it? I mean, come on. Domgo also saying, Greatest Show is brilliant too. I love that one. This one doesn't like it, but I really like this one as well. And I think the fact that the strike happened, the asbestos, happened, and they couldn't do it in TV Centre, benefited. What a genius decision they came up to actually put the tent outside, so you get the sets with that wind around it, and it feels. I mean, that was genius. Just let's stick it up in the car. The show goes on right here in the car park. Let's do it to the benefit of the story. Wonderful, absolutely. You wouldn't have got that sort of feel, I think, in a studio setting.
No,
absolutely brilliant.
Happy accident, really, wasn't it?
A very happy accident. It really benefits the story, and of course, it doesn't date it. In Happiness Patrol, we've already talked about their sets. This one's just a big tent. Superb, fantastic. Love a clown, but have a story of clowns, a particular clown and his head, says Pete Harrington. Drop it on a postcard, love. Tell us all about it. Whose Views One at gmail.com. The only actor, says Domgo, who could have maybe played the clown better than Ian Reddington would have been Tim Curry, and it would still have been a close call. Possibly. Tim, he wouldn't have done another clown, though, would he, at this particular point?
Does this predate it or not?
I would have thought so.
It's after, isn't it? Greatest Show is after, I'm sure.
Is it? I didn't think it was that old.
I'm sure it was in the 70s, wasn't it? I'm probably wrong. I don't know. They'll all tell me in the chat. They'll all tell me. But I'm glad we got Ian Reddington. Actually, I've got a picture of them. Look at this.
1990, it.
Oh, so just after. Wow. This is a nice picture of them all having a little bit of lunch.
And the BBC canteen, by looks things, isn't it? Yeah.
It is, yeah. You can tell by the lights. I wonder where they got to when they sold it all off. But yeah, isn't that a lovely picture of them? But it's just another great story, and we can't mention Greatest Show and the Galaxy without Peggy Mount.
Peggy Mount.
Yeah.
Peggy Mount. Gosh, look at that. A character I love, actually. It's a performance that I've never forgotten. It's just the way she looks at them. She's absolutely looking as though she's trodden them.
She does strike you as she's just playing Peggy Mount, but she's brilliant as Peggy Mount.
Well, nobody else could play Peggy Mount.
No, exactly. That's right. Yeah.
When WizKid comes along and she's delighted to see someone, and then he says,
that's quite funny, actually, isn't it? That whole thing, because actually Paul Seeley was just saying to us here, don't forget Adrian Mole.
Yeah, how could you forget? Yeah.
Oh, Phil's shaking his head.
It's one of the elements for me that I find cringy. Him and the bus conductor thing, robot. I find that like. Ugh.
I didn't mind the bus conductor, but Adrian Mole was a bit on the nose, wasn't he? But,
yeah, and it's one of the things that, like, when people say, "Oh, Doctor Who's rubbish" or whatever, and that's kind of one of the things that you kind of think, well, yeah, if you took that, yes, it would be. But yeah, I just don't like it.
I mean, he was meant to be a fan, like a representation of us, wasn't he?
Yes,
yeah.
Maybe that's what it is. Hit too close to home.
That's why Greatest Show. It's that the program having a dig at its own fans.
That's where it starts.
Sit comfortably with me. Yeah.
They do it all the time in this day and age. So there we go.
Oh yeah.
Oh, well,
let's
now
not mention the Oblomov. Yeah.
I really wanted Max to become a companion, says Legion James. That transformation was really excellent and took the whole scene to a next level. Yeah, it became sort of an action scene, didn't it, really? Mm-hmm. And Lex is saying Sylvester nearly got injured from the explosion. He said, to this day, he says he can still feel the warmth of the explosion on his back as he calmly
expected to have no clothes on at the back, like a cartoon character, didn't he? Really?
But give him his due. He walked away from that thing beautifully.
He never flinched, did he?
No,
he didn't. No, it was really good.
No, he knew something was going to happen, and he just gets on with it.
There's a blink. There's a little, but
considering the size of the explosion, I'll let him have that.
Yeah.
There's also a blink when Ian Reddington gets smacked in the head by that cage door accidentally. Do you remember?
Yes. Yeah. That wouldn't be allowed now, would it? For all sorts of health and safety reasons, they have to go back and do that again. But lots of love for Peggy Mount in the chat, everybody. Peter Harrington said, "Now Peggy scared me. Her voice as a kid, but I love her now. She was what we used to call a battle axe."
Yes. Yeah.
It's probably very on PC to say that, but there we go. But she was one of those great stalwarts of actresses at the time. And as little kids, we would look up to them. Yeah, you wouldn't argue with them if they told you to go and do something. You would do it. Remember, Pete? But you look at her now as we're older now, and you just think, what a character actress she was. Do you remember that thing she used to do with Pat Coombs? Oh my goodness.
Was it Young at Heart or something it was called? Was it something like that?
Something like that,
old folk song, something like that.
Yeah. Steve is saying here, anything with Peggy in must be brilliant. Weirdos, says Stephen Braddock. He's talking about us.
Especially if it's got Peggy Mount, Sid James, and Tom Baker in
it. Don't get me going on that one. I love that. They're all saying, look, Julianne saying George and the Dragon with Peggy Mount.
Brilliant.
Yeah. Chris Jury, says Steve Henley, reminding us, was mentioned as a potential Doctor back in the day. Yeah. And that's why he got Greatest Show, because he was up for the 7th Doctor and John went with Sylv. So he got this as a consolation. So I was I was told. That's all I'm saying on that one. But yes, there was a sort of thing to say, thank you, Chris, but come and do these episodes. What else we got there? That's a bit of nonsense for you. There you go. Yes, Sid James was in that one. You're right as well. Daniel Peacock as Vord was pretty well known with Rick Mail and all.
Yeah.
I forgot about Daniel Peacock.
He doesn't act anymore. I think he works as a carer now, apparently.
I think he's a carer, because the industry was getting too much. You see, that can happen with you. Don't stay forever. So good for him for going into that, because that's very vital. But no, he was, wasn't he? He was. Wasn't he in Boys from the Black Stuff or something like that as well?
He's in lots of different things. His dad is in Vicar Dibley as well. He's the guy who says yes, 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 no, no, no. That character. That's his dad.
Great, that one. What else we got here? The Jamie 9526. It was much better in the old days before the BBC zapped him, and the character who has lots of faces, the clowns all have the chief's face, has been turned cruel and violent. Meta. Well, thanks for that, Jamie 9526. Nice to see you. Hope you're well. Hope you enjoyed the show. Thank you for that one. I mean, I can watch Greatest Show anytime. Actually, I do quite like it. But I also like the fact that we get into this sort of territory.
Yeah. Is it just me, but do they look like petrified wombles?
It's just you.
Just me, it's fine. Okay.
Yeah, but again, it's stone creatures again. And I've seen these at Blackpool at the second exhibition years later, and they were very, very good. Very, very good. Very, very effective. They were sitting on this great big shelfy thing above you, and you would look up and go, because they were looking down on you like that. Really, really good stuff. But that whole thing about the gods of Ragnarok, and the Doctor's been fighting them, like Fenric the year after. The Doctor's been fighting them all through time, and we don't know anything about it. I quite like that. You know, it's suggesting all these other things that certain other people have probably all clambered onto. But yeah, I quite like that mystery of this, to say, right, I know who you lot are. Do you remember at the time everybody was saying as well, oh, they know Sutek?
That's really good, a little bit.
Yeah, I remember all that at the time going, oh, please leave it alone. Go away, go away. How
But I
things...
like the not
That's my
knowing.
favourite bit from the story, is when McCoy's entertaining them. He's really good at that. You know, all the stuff, really, really good, really clever. The juggling and everything.
But it's fantastic as well, because the three humanoid characters just sitting there eating their popcorn, and the little spooky girl as well. And it turns out to be these Ragnarok things that we, you know, luckily we've never heard of again on the TV, because they'd ruin them now, wouldn't they? But I find that quite spooky as well. You know, the green eyes and everything. Ooh.
It's the same idea as the Eternals in Enlightenment. You know, these creatures that live forever and need, you know, to entertain themselves or be entertained in this case. And it's a really good idea. And weirdly it makes me think of sort of ancient Rome and the Colosseum, and then being sat watching, you know, gladiators and that, you know, sort of thing. So yeah, I love the idea.
Yeah. It's just this whole thing about there's all these things out there that the character has been involved with, and he's having all these adventures off screen. Sometimes I think that's what has affected certain people that came to run the show later on, this whole era where they can say, oh, this has happened, or this is, or maybe that was done with this particular face, and
I think when they do that, or when they did that then, it does infer stories that we haven't seen. Whereas when they do it now, they try and stitch it into every damn story that's ever gone before in Classic Who, and they end up touching stuff that they really have no right to touch, because it's not their work. It's that they're taking it for their own advantage, and they're twisting it from what it was never meant to be. Whereas the way JNT did it was just inferring missing stories, like the original novels, when at the start of the Crusaders, when they're talking about previous adventures and the talking stones of a planet and everything. It just makes you think what's gone on that you don't know about. Whereas now
you don't need to see it, do you?
They've got to stitch it into everything, like they've put in the Sacha Dhawan Master in the Troughton animations and stuff like that. You don't need to do that. Just stop it.
But this is, I've said it before, Ian, haven't I? This is the problem when you let fans run loose. Everything has to tie up, and some of them are so I can't say that word. Some of them are so besotted with trying to tie everything up and fitting things in and doing this. Just leave it alone and get a grip, for heaven's sake. Let other people decide where things go, and, you know, stop enforcing things. I mean, it's, you know, that's the beauty of it, isn't it? You know, if you want to go and write your own stories about the gods of Ragnarok, go and do it. If you want to do a comic, go and do it. But, you know, you have these alleged professionals saying, oh, no, that fits in there and that fits in there. And then other people go, oh, no, that's no canon. Oh, bugger off. I can't be done with this. I like this, though, from Steve Hinley. The gods look great there. We want more. Yeah. Fantastic. You know, there's times when I've been in the theatre thinking I'm a god of Ragnarok, and entertain me, because you're not yet.
Give me my money back. Yes.
Jodie Whittaker. But enough of that one. Oh, that was
it's the original panel show, isn't it? It's the original X Factor. Or
exactly.
Yeah. The idea came from.
Yeah. Very nice. And
you hear that Ragnarok's gone 7 like that.
Coming this Christmas. The green eyes freaked me out at the time. Reminds me of that old Levi's advert, says Steve Braddock. I can't remember that old Levi's advert. What? Don't remember that one. Sorry. Don't remember that one. And Jamie 9526 is saying WizKid was Chris Chibnall. There might or might not be an element of truth into that, allegedly.
Yeah, maybe. Oh, he'd done his Trial of the Time Lord rant, hadn't he?
Open air, wasn't it?
Yeah, that's right. Yeah.
It's not as greasy, spotty, and irritating. The real thing.
What else? Mark Milford is asking us, any thoughts on why season 25 had multiple villains. Much of the stories had multiple villains, just because it makes it work, I suppose. What do you guys think?
Yeah, well, they always could have done that, didn't they? Really?
Right. Yeah. I mean, yeah. You can't have Doctor Who without proper villains. Oh, yes, you can.
No, you can't.
You can these days.
That doesn't count.
Not proper Doctor Who, though.
Yeah.
Drag queens in our Doctor Who. No, you can't. And Legion of James is saying, as part of the intrigue to the stories was the inferring of the Doctor's vast past, but we never knew any more than we needed to in the moment of the story. It gave real mystique to his character. Absolutely. And that was the beauty of season 25, wasn't it? Because it did add this element without harming the character at all.
Yeah.
Added to it in a beautiful way rather than rewriting the character. It didn't feel the need to rewrite the character. And because you had a producer there that understood it, James, and said, no, you're not doing that, and put his foot down occasionally, said, that's too far, bring it back.
Yeah.
That was called respect in the old world.
Well, at that lovely moment in Silver Nemesis when McCoy looks at the camera and goes, shh, like that was really nice. You know, that little tease, you know?
Yeah, exactly.
Well, he's doing it to Ace, not down the lens.
Yeah.
It's a different duty.
Yeah.
Had fantastic villains in season 25, said Lex. Yeah. And Pete saying to us, I've just remembered, wasn't Rocco Ross in this as the ringmaster? He was in Aliens, only a small part. That's right. Yeah, he was. Yeah, he was. And he was in there. And they made a bit of a fuss about that, wasn't it? To say, he was going to be in it. Because I get the feeling they were all thinking he was going to be the next big thing. And he wasn't really, was he? Bless him. He might have been in theatre, but I don't remember seeing him in anything else on telly. God love him. No? Anyone? No? Oh, well, there we go. There we go on that one. So listen, we're coming to the end of the show now, everybody. Thanks for joining us here on this. I mean, guys, as a season overview to 25, what do we think of season 25 from 1988?
I think it's a really good season. Yeah.
I could happily watch any of them. There's not an unwatchable one in there. I have ones I like more, but yeah, it's good. Good season. Good.
Kev's agreeing with us by saying brilliant. Yeah, I think it's pretty simple. Benjamin, what do you think of 25?
Yeah, love it. Just I think season 26 it goes up a level, but this is beautiful. It's so varied, and you've got all the big hitters. It's Doctor Who done right.
It is. It's Doctor Who coming back to form after a terrible few years of, nonsense, really, that was out of everybody's control and enforced on them. And this, I just remember loving every minute of it and just thinking, I hope people are watching this. I hope people are loving this. I hope this is going to take it back. But I do agree to what we said at the top of the show. This was Saturday night Doctor Who, not Monday night Doctor Who against Corrie.
Yeah.
This should have been on 6:25, I think, 6:30 on a Saturday night before all the big shows. I would have loved to have seen it there. I think it would have been stellar. Really do. Steve Braddock saying to us here, look, brilliant, very different stories, no, very varied and proper Doctor Who. Greatest show on the telly, says Pete Harrington. Are we doing a score for the season? I wasn't going to do scores on the TARDIS doors for this one, but you can do if you want to. Guys, actually, Lex has already done it. 9 out of 10 for a whole season 25. So we can do that.
26 episodes, see what he would have made of it. Could he have kept the pace up?
Yeah.
If he'd kept the pace up and kept the style and the quality of the stories up, and he had the money to do it, it would have been one of those genuinely legendary seasons. I mean, in a sense, it is anyway. But can you imagine if he'd just been given that extra chance?
Imagine if 25 and 26 were sewn together. That'd be amazing, wouldn't it?
Yeah. But also, when you look at what was produced for his previous, you got 7 stories back then. Imagine that, 7 stories. Yeah, I think you're right, Ian, on this one. Listen, let's have a think about this. We will do scores on the TARDIS stores. Then let's have a look at this. All right, then. So we'll do that then. So I'll start with Phil. For the whole of season 25, out of 10, what are you going to give it?
8.
Oh, brilliant. Paul?
I'll give it 8 as well.
Smashing.
Good man.
Third Doctor, Ian?
I'm going to give it 8 as well. And I did like how the gods of Ragnarok were defeated when they sank into the floor and collapsed. I love that bit.
I forgot that effect. And Bedouin, what are you going to give season 25?
I don't know why, but 8.8 is what came to mind.
Oh,
I don't know why, but 8.8.
very strange. 8.8. For myself,
because it was 1988.
Okay, yeah.
1988. For myself, I'm going to give season 25 a 9 out of 10.
Ooh.
A 9 out of 10 because I enjoyed it then, and it restored my faith after season 24. Got me excited for what was coming afterwards. So I'm going to give it that, and I'm looking forward to seeing it all again at some point when BBC Studios get it out on standard. Come back
2028.
2028, yes, when we will be reviewing the standard edition of season 25. No, I'm kidding. Let's have a look and see where you go. So as I say, Lex was giving it a 9 out of 10. Paul Ashworth is giving it Daleks 10, Cybermen 10, Patrol 3, and Galaxy 9. That's good scores then. Fantastic. 10 from me, says Stephen Braddock. 10 out of 10 from Stephen Hinley. Season 25, says Kev, was the alien doctor that we could get into and want to have with us. That's a nice point. I like that. Peter Venkman fansite is saying to us, PBS aired Doctor Who around 10 or 11 Saturday nights. It used to be packed with station hopping on regular antenna channels. How strange. Yeah, okay. Thanks very much. I'm so glad we just had BBC One Night TV. I give it a strong 7 out of 10 for this season, says the Legion of James. Thank you. Pete Harrington is saying to us, loved it and now better. A good solid 8 for me. Well-deserved 8 out of 10, said Kev Gresham for season 25. 7 out of 10, said Bill. Thank you, Bill. What else we got here? Chris Lawley saying to us, the Doctor in British culture was made and existed after football results for pools before Saturday night, and giving that a 7. Yeah. Yeah, I agree. Julianne, 8.5 and loved it. Thank you, Julianne. Dom goes saying 9 out of 10, only because Happiness Patrol isn't as excellent as the rest. Well, I'm going to give it a 9 out of 10 as well. I quite like the Happiness Patrol, I have to say. There's something there about that one. But let's talk about that more when we come to the individual stories on Who's Views Reviews. Listen, guys, thank you so much. Oh, we've got Jamie tapping in here. 10 out of 10, says Jamie9526, because it was tiring. It was trying and doing new stuff that actually worked. It's also where I went into full fan mode as a kid.
Nice.
There you go. And actually, that's repeating itself really with Phil's lad, who's 10, and getting into Doctor Who because of Silver Nemesis and Happiness Patrol. There you go. And Stephen saying to us, thanks everyone, an absolutely fantastic, happy, nostalgic show tonight. I'm glad you think so, Stephen. Thank you for that. Yeah, so this has been one of our series in the season overviews. We're going to be doing this every now and then. We are. So thank you for joining us. Hope you have enjoyed it. Yes, so thank you to Phil, to Paul, to Third Doctor Ian and Bedouia. I hope you guys have enjoyed this this new show for us.
Yeah, lovely. Yeah,
good.
We will be doing another one at some point. Not sure where, not sure when. You'll have to stay with us. Make sure you've subscribed to the channel. Make sure you've rung that bell so you get all the notifications when we're going live or we're dropping you a recorded show. We're going to be back very soon with some more headlines, I'm sure. So stay with us for all of that. That's coming up at the weekend. And yes, watch out for our autumn special. That's on the way for you next week. That'll be coming up very soon. So from all of us here, thank you for watching us. Look after yourselves, and we will see you again very soon. Same time, same place here on Who's Views. Tra then. See you, everybody. Bye.
Bye, everyone. Bye-bye.
Bye.
Bye.